Welcome everyone to Demo Day, EIT Fans Demo Day 2, Technology Tackling Agri-Food, Transforming Agri-Food, sorry. I'm Laurie Tan of Naked Innovations, and alongside me is Ryan Edwards, and we are the team that will be hosting the session today. And hopefully has some really interesting discussions and demonstrations for you today during this session. So basically, we'll be going through a fair few discussions and some demonstrations throughout the session. It will last around 2 hours. So if we can get the agenda up, that would be great. Let's have a look. Okay, so basically today, I'll just give you an overview of what's going to be happening. We're going to be kicking off with a few startups that have a focus on AI and machine learning. So we have Fieldwork Robotics and Rover, who are focused on robotics. And then we have Micron Agritech, who will be following after that. Then we'll be joined by Will Wells from Hummingbird, the president and founder. And he'll be doing a presentation on the future of AI and machine learning. And then he'll also bring in the startups to have a bit of a discussion too, as well. Then we'll have a bit of a break where you get to have a chance to network with some of the startups. And also all the other participants that are here today. So you have a chance to be able to connect with people and really find out if there's any potential for collaboration around tech, let's say. Then we'll go back into the Startup Expos. We'll be joined by Authena and Bulldog. They're basically focused on blockchain. So they'll be kind of showing off their technologies. And we'll actually have a discussion between them about the future of blockchain and see what happened, what could the future hold for blockchain in agri-food. Then that'll be followed by a few other startups across the supply chain. We have FinApp and MycroNourish, who focus more in the agricultural side of things. And then we'll actually be concluding by focusing on cell-based tech, which everyone's very much interested in these days. So we'll be ending on a high. We'll be joined by Ahmed Khan from Cell Agri. So he'll give you this talk on what he feels is the future for cell-based tech. And then last but not least, we'll have Multus, who will be presenting, their work is in cell-based tech, who will do their presentation as well in that space. Okay, so that's pretty much the agenda for today. Then right now, Ryan's going to be able to show us how this platform actually works. So this is actually the Hopin platform you may be on right now. Some of you are not aware of the parts how it works, how the platform actually works, and the ins and outs of it. It's a bit different to Zoom. So we're going to share my screen right now to give you an idea of how it exactly works, basically. Just share here.
Thanks, Laurie. So the idea here is to make this as dynamic as possible, to have interactions for you to be able to connect with each other. So if you see some awesome startups and some interesting speakers that you want to talk to, there's an opportunity to do that. One way is on the right side of the screen right now, you can see there's people. So you can at any time click on people, and the list of all the people that are here enjoying this event will be there. You can click on any one of those people at any moment, maybe a speaker you just heard or someone that you think is interesting. And if you click on one of those now, so some sort of productions in this case, you can invite them to a video call or even send them a message to say, hey, do you want to talk in the networking? Do you want to talk later? So at any moment, if you want to leave the main stage, you want to go and talk to that person, you can do that. Also, we'll have moments throughout today where you can go to networking. So on the left there, you can click into networking, and you can randomly be assigned. If you click join, you'll be randomly assigned an opportunity to network with someone else who's also wanting to network, and you can spend some time getting to know each other. Most of the people here, I think, are from the agri-food industry and very keen on how we can all make an impact and transform it to the healthier system that we all want and need. Also, you'll see an expo there. This is where all of the startups that are going to speak today have their videos. So you'll see their videos on the main stage, but if any moment you've missed a video or you want to go and rewatch one, you can click on any of these startups here and you can go and watch their 3-minute video to get to know them a bit better and actually go and hang out with their startups when they finish their talking on the main stage. So that's basically how it's going to work. You can, in the reception area where Laurie just was, you can also find out all the details that we've already explained. But I think for now, I think it's time to get cracking and get to see what today's all about. Over to you, Laurie.
Brilliant. So let me introduce you to Christoph Mandel. He is the director of FAN itself. So he can give you a bit of insight into what FAN is really about. So Christoph, how are you doing?
Great. Thanks a lot, Laurie. Great to see you all. Great to see so many people attending. And yeah, also welcome from my side to the second EIT Fan Demo Day that we will host this year.
Exactly. Cool. So tell us about EIT Food and also specifically FAN, obviously. So we're here. This is like, all the FAN startups are here. Give the audience, I guess some people may not know what EIT Food is and what FAN is. So let us know.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to give you the quick tour. Although EIT Food is meanwhile really a complex organization, I try to make it short and concise. So in a few words, EIT Food is Europe's leading innovation community. We have meanwhile more than 200 academic, research and corporate partners in our network that are all working towards one common mission, and it is to make our food system more sustainable, more trusted and healthier. We have offices spread all across Europe, giving us a true European footprint and allowing us to be very close to our partners, obviously, who are deeply embedded in their local ecosystems. What I like really a lot about EIT Food is that it looks at how to foster innovation from many different angles. So, for instance, we support educational activities ranging from summer schools, online learning, degree awarding master's program, all the way to certified professional education. We support collaborative innovation projects for tech and also products that are really close to market. So maybe you've heard in the meantime already that EIT Food has launched an innovation call for projects that was actually published last week. And maybe you want to have a look at the website. We also, and this is the area I'm working in, support obviously startups, right? So at EIT Food, we really believe in the transformative power of entrepreneurship, and we want to support impactful agri-food startups where we believe they can actually have a solution for our big challenges that we see in the food system today. So this is why we also look at entrepreneurs at 3 different growth stages. So starting very early on with entrepreneurs and teams looking for market validation and immediate market feedback. For them, we have the Seedbed Incubator. The startups within the accelerator are already a bit more advanced, mostly around seed stage, looking for connections to the industry and to pilot their technology with support of our program, right? And for even more advanced companies, we offer not so much a program, but rather a network within the EIT Food Network, which we call the Rising Food Stars Association, where we have all those startups, or rather scale-ups, that are looking for market adoption and international expansion. So since 2020, EIT Food has also started to actively invest in companies, mainly in those that have been actively participating in our programs. So last year it was a total of 10 million euros that we could invest in startups across all of these 3 growth stages. In addition, we have started this year within the EIT Fan, within the Accelerator program, to also actively matchmake startups that are in our programs with the industry, right? So all across the different growth stages.
So we're having slight technical difficulties there. Oh, Chris, we're back with you. Oh, you got cut off there, Christoph.
Oh, really? Okay.
about 10 seconds though. It's not very long. It wasn't very long.
Okay. The last, I know what the last thing was you heard, but besides investing, we have now started to actively matchmake startups with industry. And also judging by the feedback we've seen or received so far from not only startups, but also the industry, we have been quite successful doing so. So we are very happy about this outcome.
Awesome. Really cool. Really nice to see. So obviously this today is all about tech. So tech solutions, transformative tech, really going to hopefully make some changes to the agri-food industry. During the application process, we had over like 600 applications from across the agri-food sector in Europe. What kind of trends did you see when you saw those applications? Obviously, there's a lot of different types of solutions. What was the kind of average of the types of things you saw?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a very good question. And yeah, first and foremost, yeah, we are obviously very happy that we attract so many deep tech companies from across Europe to the program. And to be precise, yeah, and across entire EIT Food, it's even more than 1,000 applications that we received this year. So we are really very grateful about it. That so many companies are trusting us with their application and are also looking at us to get support in terms of investment readiness, in terms of pilot readiness. But in the end, it's really not so much a numbers game for us. So what we, I guess, learned also a bit the hard way is that it's really more crucial to have relevant startups joining us, right? So only if we are aware about the challenges that are persisting within our food system, we can openly communicate about them, attract the right stakeholders, meaning from the industry, but also from the startup side, and then hopefully work together towards solving these big challenges within our food system. So, but speaking of the biggest trends, yeah, I'm always flagging two, and they might not be very surprising to many of you, but what I find actually so interesting is that they have been already super important challenges for a long time, but now in the recent months or years, the importance seems to have accelerated, right? So one is for sure everything that has to do with alternative proteins and the transition to a more plant-based diet. And I'm looking really not only at the concrete challenges such as taste and texture of meat alternatives, for instance, or dairy, seafood alternatives, but also the technology behind it, such as 3D printing and so forth. And the second challenge or biggest trend I would definitely assign to farming, right? And to the food production and the impact it can have on climate change. And here I'm looking not only at carbon neutral farming or regenerative agricultural practices, but also very specifically on the inputs and resource efficiency. So all it has to do with natural fertilizers, pesticides, or the big challenge around water scarcity. But I feel I can go on forever, right? But I'm actually way more interested, not so much in the trends or the challenges, but what is actually coming up, right? And what solutions startups have to offer to counter those challenges. So this, I guess, why we are all here for the demo days, right?
Exactly. Great. Thank you very much, Christoph. Really interesting. But your farming, let's say we got 50%, more than 50% of the startups are actually focused on farming. So that's clearly it's a really big issue, and that reflects in the cohort this year.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot. Cool. So now we're going to move on. So we're going to go on with the show. So I believe Ryan has a poll for everyone. I think everyone loves a good poll. So we're going to go ahead with sharing a poll first.
Yeah. So we want to, as I said at the start, we want to have audience engagement here. We're all in this industry and we all should have a voice. And we want to hear that voice. So we're going to start a very easy one for you all, which is actually, where are you located? We know that FAN is across the whole of Europe. So we're interested to see how diverse we are here. So I think the first poll that's gonna pop up on the right of your screen, I believe. Hopefully you can get this one right. Is where are you actually located? Let's see the diversity in the room by region. We know, as you'll see today, that the startups across FAN, the 60 that are included, and the ones we're going to see today are from indeed all over the European ecosystem. So as we look at that, the next thing we're going to see in a moment is we'll get the results for that, and then we're going to move into seeing our first startup in just a moment, which will be Fieldwork Robotics. They are the creators of modular robots able to operate in non-controllable environments such as agricultural fields. So in a moment we'll see their little short introduction video, which I'm excited about sharing with you. Okay, before we do that, and I think you can all see the poll results there. We're going to have one other quick poll. So the next three startups you're going to see are all related to artificial intelligence. They're all related and machine learning. So we have a second poll for you as well, if we can put that up on the screen, poll 2, which is, we want to get your feeling for what are your thoughts on having artificial intelligence in agri-food? How do you guys feel about it? Something to reflect upon. Have you thought about it? Again, we want to get a measure of what people's feelings are in the room before we introduce the 3 startups that are going to talk about this, and then our expert speaker, Will Wells, who's also going to talk about this topic. So If we see what you guys are all thinking about that. And as you're answering that poll, I think we can already begin by seeing the Fieldwork Robotics video.
Hello, I'm Rui, the CEO of Fieldwork Robotics. My background has been electrotechnical engineer, both in robotics and the energy market. I've supported a lot of companies to grow and new technologies to come to the market in the past. And I supported Dr. Martin Stollen to set up the company as a spin-off of Plymouth University. Dr. Martin Stollen is very passionate about the robotics, but also his family came from the agriculture market. My family also has a lot of farms, so I know the struggle that growers are feeling. Pre-COVID, roughly 30% of the crops were being left unharvested. If you look into most of the growers, net margins are well below the 5%. So with 30% crop being left on the field, that causes a big loss. Our passion basically is to support growers to remain competitive. The way we are approaching the problem is using robotics. We have been working on our technology to support, on the first instance, on harvesting. We have started in raspberries because it's a very soft and sensitive crop. It's very easy to damage and it's very hard to harvest using a robot. But luckily we have been able to nail it. So we are now harvesting with our robots. We have been in the field for a couple of weeks at a time. We are now preparing ourselves in January to be full-time in the farms, just harvesting using first one robot and then further robots during next year. We are also in collaborations with different growers. One of our main competitive advantages is that very easily we can change from one crop to the other, or from the task of harvesting into the task of pruning, of husbandry. And all of our robots have been done in such a way that we can increase utilization, but also increase the uptime. A little bit like a tractor. There is no point on having the tractor that stops every time on the field. What we want is something that if stops on the field, we can, in a matter of 5 minutes, put it in operation again. We are aiming now to bring our technology to the market. We have now agreed prices with growers and we are very passionate about what we do, and I believe we'll have our technology operating successfully next year, and after that our aim is going to be expanding into different geographies, different growers, and be on the market basically. It would be great if you are interested. Please contact us. Thank you very much.
Here's the man himself. Hey, Rui, how you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you. So you talked about your home market. So you've begun with raspberries. What are the
Yes.
Where is that? And you said other crops. So what other crops are you also working with?
Yes. So we started with raspberries because it's a market with roughly 2 billion, but growing at 22% per annum. So it has already a significant amount, a significant size. But what we are going to go next is most of the growers of raspberries also grows other crops such as strawberries, which we are starting to harvest at the moment. And from there, we are discussing with other growers such as tomatoes. And we are running a side project that is still on late R&D stage for cauliflowers, where we are working with large players such as Bondwell and in the UK, TH Clements.
Okay, nice. So quite different actually, just to surprise that. So I can understand raspberries and strawberries, but then cauliflowers, quite a different, well, a vegetable versus a fruit. So what was the reason for then talking about cauliflowers?
Well, the concept from the engineering point of view is more or less the same. You know what you need to do in the robot side for the vision, artificial intelligence, the design of the robot. The main question is, you have growers that come to you with a challenge. You have the tools in the team to address it, and is almost, if you have the capacity to do so and access to finance for research and development, then you should do it, because it's a big problem. Nobody's sorting it at the moment, as far as we are aware, or the growers are aware. And from the engineering point of view, the skills are the same.
So you're wonderful. So you get a lot of support from growers and being able to test with them. On the buying side, I mean, are you then directly interacting with the production and selling this?
So at the moment, we have agreed the prices to provide harvesting as a service. These will be operational from January in the field throughout the year. But we are also discussing other offerings that we are implementing in our robot to extend the utilization of the robot, because in some geographies, so if we focus just on the soft fruit market, in the UK, they go from mid-April to mid-October roughly, which means outside of this time, either you ship the robots into other geographies, or you need to add other features into the robot that allow you to keep the robots in the same grower and keep adding value to this. So if you have designed a robot just for harvesting, then you might miss the window outside of the harvesting season. What we have done is basically thinking beyond the harvesting and how can we go very easily from what we're focusing on at the moment, that is the harvesting, into other crops, into other things like the husbandry and so forth.
Okay, so all sounds really positive. You got clear plans, which is amazing. What about on the challenge side? You know, what's holding you back? What's blocking you?
Yes. So the first one is access to talent. So far, well, we are based in Cambridge, UK. Luckily, Cambridge allows us to have access to a large pool of talent throughout Europe. Since Brexit, this shuffled a bit our plans. We are now seeing a shortage of some kind of engineers. Luckily, we work with large companies such as Bosch that are able to support us on bridging some of these gaps. The other one I would say is we see some funds investing in this field, but the amount of funds comparing with other industries is still significantly smaller. So access to finance is a challenge as of today. Hopefully, as this market starts to get investor attention, we'll see the financing becoming easier, or at least having more cash allocated to it.
Yeah, it sounds like an opportunity for these investors in the audience right now. You know, there's less competition here, guys. This is the place to be. Okay, nice, Rui. And so yeah, what would be like the who in networking and so on? What kind of people you wanted to meet? What kind of organizations do you want to talk to?
Yes, so we have been very lucky in the sense that growers recognize there is a need in the market, and they have been approaching us. One of the things we feel it would be very helpful is to speak with equipment manufacturers, because the next stages will be around manufacturing. And whilst we could build all of that in-house, it will take a lot of time and money to build. And we would prefer to partner with people that are used to do that and have the reach to the market as well. On the other side, finance is always needed. So we are very interested to speak with investors that are willing to have a discussion, see what we are doing. We are just showing a small part of our services that are being developed. So if you are interested, please just get in touch.
Wonderful, Rui. And exactly, I think that's a big part of EIT Food Accelerator Network. You know, this network here has all those types of profiles and organizations in it. So hopefully you're getting some exposure already, and today and beyond, people will connect to you about that. So yeah, thank you, Rui. And guys, you know who Rui is now. So please go and reach out to him, say hello. He'll be around the rest of this demo day and afterward as well, of course.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Great stuff. Okay, now we're going to go into the next startup. So with Rover, we have their video, first of all, and then we'll have a chat with them as well. So yeah, if we can start playing that already, I believe.
Hi, I am Tomás Piedras from Rover. We are on a mission to help farmers make affordable, high-quality, chemical-free fresh produce the new norm. Rover is a deep tech startup working to make organic and sustainable farming available for all.
Our rovers are specifically designed to address urgent problems that farmers face, and our research and development team based in Spain gives us access to a huge pool of talent and also a base to service one of the largest vegetable growing regions in Europe.
This is the second iteration of Earth Rover's concentrated light breeding robot. It uses a high-resolution stereo vision system and artificial intelligence to precisely locate weeds and tell them apart from the crop. It incorporates a high-powered flash-based illumination system that enables the robot to work in all possible lighting conditions. The onboard computer is capable of assigning all detected weeds among the 4 weeding units inside this module, while optimizing the order in which these weeds must be neutralized in order to minimize the total operation time. These 4 weeding units are able to very quickly and accurately focus the light on each of the targets for a combined weeding speed of up to 20 weeds per second. Multiple weeding modules can be mounted under one of our robots in order to cover the whole width of a bed. We have verified the effectiveness of our weeding approach, both in the lab and in the field, and have obtained very promising results so far.
We use deep learning for plant detections and weed detections. With these detections and the depth camera, we obtain the volume of the plant and its position with respect to the camera. And with the localization system, we obtain the GPS position of the plant and generate our maps.
So this is our scouting rover. It is autonomous and fully electrical, and it is very lightweight. It only weighs 80 kilograms. The rear forks and the front forks can be shifted inwards and upwards to adjust different bed widths. And the rear axle can rotate so that it adapts to different surfaces in the terrains.
Localization is a key aspect of our system. It helps us navigate the vehicle and obtain an accurate map of plants. Our localization system is composed by a dual GNSS antenna, a tactical IMU, and wheel odometry. The dual GNSS antenna helps us get accurate heating throughout our operations. And when we install a base station in each farm that we operate, we can send corrections to the receiver and get RTK precise positioning. The corrections we send is through internet, but we have radio corrections also sent as a backup, so that we increase the redundancy of our system. We then fuse all of these sensors to get more estimate and accurate position.
Very cool. That's a really insightful video. I believe we have Ricard and potentially the team with us as well.
Well, it was a bit confusing, so the team I think didn't join. Sorry.
Okay,
so
no
I am alone. Okay.
Okay, no worries. I think.
But I would say the team, please, if you can join, it would be good. But at the moment, I am here. Okay.
Good. How big is your team? Because I see there's a lot of people that are involved in the production of that video.
Well, actually, there are 2 missing people there. I'm very sorry because we have 2 engineers in England, but it was quite hurried up, all this video production. So we are 6 people in Spain and 2 in England on the research and development. And then there is other people in the company not involved in research and development, let's say.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. It looks like a good team there. So in terms of your technology then, what makes it so special? What's the kind of value behind it?
Well, a lot of things, of course. We are very special. I mean, maybe the most special is our weeding technology, which is it's a novel method to control weeds based on concentrated light. And well, we use a lot of, I would say it's a very nice robotic solution to a problem. So it's a quite elegant machine. And I think all the team is really having a lot of fun developing that weeding technology. What essentially it's concentrated light, it's very efficient. It doesn't disturb the soil, so it's very good for the environment, and it allows us to have a very low or zero carbon footprint. When using renewable energy, we would have a 0 carbon footprint in that solution. So I think that would be very special. That's on the optoelectronics field. And then we use AI to detect the weed and AI also to detect the crop. And we use this crop and weed data to create information, let's say we generate a lot of data that is uploaded to the cloud, and it's usable for the farmer. So basically, our solution covers two big pains for farmers, which is on one side, sustainable weeding, and on the other side, so having a sustainable weeding method, let's say, we solve that. And besides this, we generate data where there was no view of what was happening on the field, so that our farmers can know what happens with each individual plant on their farm. So we provide the information at individual plant level, so that then our farmers can use any kind of precision agriculture techniques that they wish.
Cool, very nice. So in terms of, so you're working with farmers already, what's the experience so far with working with your technology?
Well, we are working on couple of pilot projects on real farms, on very large farms, and well, basically, it's this capacity to have information where they didn't. So, in one case, to give you an example, thanks to the Rover, they can know what happens with each individual plant at early stages, which was not possible to have this information with drones. Let's say when compared with drones for the scouting activities, we deliver the data real time. Let's say our system, our robot has a lot of computing power on board, so it computes all the imagery and all the data, all the sensor fusion that the Rover is processing is processed on real time on the vehicle, and then we just upload to the cloud what is, let's say, the synthesized information, like plant position and size. And then this is uploaded and available through a cloud-based business intelligence system that we provide to the farmer. So to give you an idea, one big advantage compared with drones is the much higher resolution, much close to the crop, and the angle of view. So we have stereo vision systems that we gather not just the crop image, but we gather the volume of the crop. So we just not count on position each plant. We measure its volume. Okay. So we generate a 3D point cloud for each individual plant, which then we extract the volume from, and this has a lot of possibilities in the future. And we have a, let's say, kind of long-term roadmap where we see our rovers incorporating more and more sensors and delivering more and more precise data. For instance, next step is to add soil sensors to the rover so that the rover can stop from time to time and sensor soil composition, moisture, conductivity. And besides this, increase the resolution of our cameras to detect pest and disease on the crop. Okay, so that's on the scouting side. And then, of course, on the weeding side, we are perfectioning our weeding solution. We have been testing it on an early stage on reduced fields. So let's say of these two technologies, weeding and scouting is in kind of tier 7, transitioning into 8, while weeding is in kind of tier 5, transitioning to 6. And by 2023, we want everything to be ready for real commercialization.
Nice.
In 2 years, cool. Or in 1 year and a half, let's say.
Okay, so what's the kind of not roadblocks, but what's the kind of challenges that you have to get to that then by the 2023? What kind of things you're in need of, or that you need to overcome?
Money, basically money. Okay, so here we have Francisco.
Hello.
Francisco is our chief artificial intelligence engineer and roboticist. So he's leading the weeding project, right? And then if anybody has very specific AI or robotic questions related to our weeding system, he can answer. Sorry, I lost now.
The challenges. What kind of challenges do you have to get to your kind of on your roadmap? What I think you said money.
We have a quite clear roadmap. Let's say it's technologically, we have done the research, so now it's just development. Let's say we have solved all the issues. Okay, so the different systems really work, and it's a matter of fine-tuning and productionizing what we already have, right? So there are no issues that create uncertainty. So let's say the challenge we have is external validation. So we want to involve external institutions to validate our weeding solution next year. Then early adoption by customers. So we need to deploy our system on several pilots in England and in Spain, basically. And then another challenge is to grow, to, let's say, transform our company, which is now a research and development organization, basically, into a real business company. Let's say we have to recruit people on the commercial side, and we have to start transforming those pilots into paid pilots and real customers.
Sure.
And all this translates into, we need kind of 2 million for this next 2 years, let's say, or next year and a half, to really become a commercial company.
Mm-hmm.
and be close to break-even. So let's say from that point, we will need grow capital for growth. So right now, this is a 2 million seed round, let's say, to finish off the technology, have our final product, and start up building our commercial and operational side. Because actually also, let's say, one of the challenges is early adoption from customers. You know, it's not easy, I would say, that for agricultural companies to adopt these robotic solutions, they need some time. So our approach to solve that problem is that in the early stage, instead of having to purchase our systems, we will offer them as a service possibility. So we will deploy on an early stage, we will deploy our rovers as a service rovers. So it will be our own people who will operate the rovers on the customer farms. The idea is to do that just for 1 year. So we will allow the customer to use that as a service model for 1 year for them to see that this works and that this is operable. And then from that point, we will transfer the ownership. So our objective is not to be a service company, but to be selling our product, and then having on top of that data and maintenance fees that will be yearly fees per rover or per hectare, so that we will have a hybrid model of selling and also recurrent fees from the operation of those rovers.
That makes sense. Awesome. Very cool. We actually have a couple of questions from the crowd, in fact. Running out of time slightly. I'm going to ask you one question, and then maybe you can answer one later. So there's a question from Imran PepsiCo. He actually asked, do you have an idea on what sort of yield improvement is possible? I guess that's the...
Yield improvement? Well, in the case of brassicas, for instance, in the case of the crop that we better know, which is broccoli, the current state-of-the-art broccoli weeding, mechanical weeding systems and provoke or generate a loss of 5% of the crop. So let's say by using our system, which is completely selective and it doesn't disturb the crop at all, not the roots, nothing. It would mean an increase of yield of 5% just on that side, just by not disturbing the crop when doing mechanical weeding. Okay, but besides this, our system is doing two jobs. It's weeding, it's controlling weeds, but it's also delivering data, which can enable for a better usage of resources, and then also it can derive in an increase of yield. So it's more difficult to measure that improvement because it will require longer operation. But we had some estimates, and in the case of broccoli, let's say that there will be something like an additional 5% of increase in yield thanks to using these enhanced data details and enabling enabling for an early detection of issues in the field. You know, because one of the characteristics of this scouting system is that you get the information real time. So you don't have to wait 24 hours or 2 days or 3 days. the information will be on the fingertips of the farmer just right after doing the operation. So this time is very important, time reaction.
For sure. Okay, so I have to end it there, unfortunately. Really interesting, all the stuff you're explaining here. Any final words from you or from Francisco about your kind of, anything to that audience, the crowd?
So let's Francisco say something, because otherwise.
You can go ahead.
No, you. I give you the responsibility, Francisco.
Go on, Francisco.
No, I mean, I think our weeding approach is quite promising. In this we've done so far, it seems to be working properly, and overall cost should be lower than other current methods for ecological farming. So I think we're quite excited to test out how it works.
Great, thank you, Francisco. Great stuff.
You see, he's an engineer, not a commercial guy.
We all have our strengths, so good, all good. Thank you very much to both of you, and we'll speak to you a bit later during the discussion with Will, and he can ask his question directly to you, I guess. Great, thanks. Okay, so we're going to go to the next video. Thank you, guys. So we have Micron Agritech for you now. So you have the video coming up, and then we have a little chat with Sean from Micron Agritech.
Let me tell you about a major challenge to one of the world's most critical industries that you probably haven't heard about. Let's take it from the start. Parasites are the most common health issue in grazing animals worldwide. These have a major impact on farm yields and feed efficiency, decreasing the growth of a calf by up to 50%. However, to test for these, a farmer currently has to collect and post samples to a lab, which then takes up to 5 days to return results. As such, farmers choose to just treat animals without testing with a regular blanketed dose, wasting money and using medication ineffectively, which is leading to a global resistance issue. In Ireland alone, resistance to ivermectin was found in 100% of surveyed farms. So, the EU Commission passed legislation that will require evidence for the issuing of this medication by 2022, aspiring for a world where medication is selectively targeted. We have a solution. MycroNKit allows farmers and vets to test animals for worms on the spot using our app. A sample simply collected, prepared and analysed automatically using their phone. Results are delivered in under 30 minutes thanks to our advanced machine learning algorithms. With MycroNKit, farmers can easily implement targeted selective treatment on farm. Here's the thing. Parasite testing isn't the only issue. Across the animal health industry, a model of blanketing medication has been implemented due to a lab-based testing system dating back to the 1900s. With our rapid testing technologies, we will build a mobile platform that provides meaningful biological data, shifting the entire industry to one based on a test then treat methodology using rapid diagnostics. The ag industry's environmental impact is huge, and demand is increasing. A technological transformation is needed to increase efficiency, reducing impact and increasing supply. Our rapid testing technology is exactly that.
We started Micron Agritech in 2020 with nothing more than a concept. Since then, we've raised over €500,000 in funding, and we've grown the team from 4 founders to 12 ambitious and innovative people. Our hardware team has developed and tested 4 revisions of MicroNKit, and we have filed 3 patents on our rapid testing technologies. Our software team have developed our app for iOS and Android, built our AWS cloud infrastructure, and trained multiple machine learning models on over 80,000 data points.
We joined the EIT Food Accelerator Network in 2021, and through the virtual workshops, we focused on developing our go-to-market strategy. It was so useful to receive feedback from the mentors and share ideas with the other fan startups. EIT Food have also provided us with funding opportunities through an investment of €300,000 in the business, as well as introducing us to their other European VCs. We plan to raise €1.5 million this year and launch MicroNKit in early 2022. From there, we will be expanding our mobile testing platform while continuing to drive the future of animal health through rapid diagnostics.
Okay, wow. Hello, Sean. Good to see you again. Oh, I don't hear you, sir.
Apologies, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah,
right,
Ryan, it's great to see you, although through a screen this time and not in sunny Malaga.
Yeah, last time we were together, I think we were having a drink and some tapas in Malaga at the EIT Food Venture Summit, which was a pleasure. So yeah, truly fantastic story you and Daniel have created here, and in such a short space of time. I mean, how have you managed to get from where you started, and you can tell you the story how long ago that was, to now in that space of time?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I suppose like the first thing is obviously a lot of hard work and a lot of luck involved as well, as always with these things. I suppose we started sort of thinking about the company, and we originally founded the company in early 2019. The four founders we met while studying product design in Dublin. So we kind of founded the initial idea and sort of did all of the I suppose initial groundwork while we were finishing our degrees. So from 2019 sort of through to 2020, we kind of filed a few of those patents. We got bootstrapped some initial funding, but really we didn't start kind of going full time on the project until about summer of 2020, when we kind of all finished up with university. So obviously since then, as outlined in the video, there's been lots of great progress and lots of great achievements. We couldn't have done it without the help of some great investors and some great advisors as well, steering us. But yeah, it's been an epic journey so far, and we're really excited for what lies ahead.
Fantastic. And who are your sort of key users, let's say? Because I know you talk with farmers and you talk to vets. So really, who would you spend most time testing with and talking to?
So at the moment, it's very much focused on mostly vets, but also some farmers. So the beauty of our technology, we've really designed the kit to be accessible to anyone. It's completely streamlined and really easy to use, with sort of the farmer in mind who may not have the sort of technical training that a vet may have. It's completely portable as well, and I suppose all packs up into quite a compact carry case. So the idea being it can sort of it could sit in the veterinary clinic, it can sit in the back of the vet's car, it can sit in the farm office. So it's just a really versatile tool that has the capability to be used by lots of people. So yeah, in the short term, we'd be mostly looking at vets, because they're the ones who are currently doing a lot of that testing, with some sort of larger scale farmers as well, and then with a view to sort of through as the technology becomes adopted and through education and stuff, we'll see it trickle down to sort of the farm level. Yeah, and then obviously there's other markets, such as the companion animal side of the world is also very interesting to us in the future as well.
Okay, right. So you're already thinking about pets and animals at home. So before we go to that though, so this is pretty disruptive what you're doing from the current setup, right? Especially vets would have to change a bit their business models. So are you seeing any resistance from and pushback from pharmaceutical companies, of course? So I guess you're kind of disrupting, right?
Well, from pharmaceutical companies in particular, we're seeing quite a bit of interest. We're currently sort of in talks with 5 of the top 6 animal health companies in the world, who really are starting to see that diagnostics is sort of the way the industry is shifting. We're moving away from just prophylactic use of medication and sort of that being the answer to everything. We've obviously learned a lot in recent years about the issues posed by resistance. So all of them see that resistance piece as quite a, it's a big threat to their business, and they're on board to try and find solutions to that, so that the medications that we all rely on can be useful for longer. So yeah, we're seeing huge amounts of interest from them in terms of potentially areas to work together. And yeah, not just in parasites, across the entire sort of diagnostics industry, things are moving from the lab closer to the animal, and that's it's really exciting to see that.
For sure. Now, this is the kind of disruption that EIT fan wants to encourage, of course. So kudos to you and the team for all the positivity that I'm hearing here, and the great strides you're making. On the other side, what is a challenge? What needs to change? What are the things? What any blockages that you have?
One key challenge that we have sort of coming now is like what we've done so far is sort of we've built the product to a stage where we've built multiple prototypes and we've sort of finalized the product. We've validated it clinically, so we know it works. We've done a lot of commercial validation. We know there's sort of product market fit, but what we haven't done is sort of built the product, built Micron kit on scale. So we're kind of currently going through that commercialization process. We're working with a manufacturing partner here in Ireland to go through the design for manufacturing, so that we can look at building at scale. And one of the key challenges that sort of nearly every industry is faced with after the pandemic is massive shortages in a lot of components to do with electronics in particular, and just logistics and shipping worldwide has not had a great time recently. So we do see that as quite a big challenge, especially because our timelines are pretty tight in terms of we want to get to market, so by early next year in Europe, because that's when that legislation piece is kicking in, which is going to be a big catalyst for us. So yeah, just time is tight on that, and there's going to be some challenges there, but we have a great team in place to sort of rise to those challenges.
I'm sure of it. Yeah, you've done so well to get this so fast, and it's clearly a need. So any final message you want to give to the audience out there, people that you would like to connect with?
I would say that just in general, we have a collaborative approach to everything. So be it other startups that are sort of in a similar space and have ideas for how we could work together. Obviously, investors that are interested in investing in cutting edge technology in ag, and sort of any of those larger corporates that could partner with us on things like distribution or product partnerships. We're open to all of those conversations. So my inbox is open, and yeah, anyone who wants to reach out is more than welcome to do so.
Absolutely, and we encourage that. Thank you so much, Sean. Great to see you.
Cheers, Ryan.
Keep going. Thanks. Wow. Okay, so we've heard from 3 startups there, all using artificial intelligence and different kinds of machine learning in completely different parts of the agri-food supply chain, which is great to see. And there's a long way to go. And someone who is maybe a bit further along in that journey is Will Wells, who would like to invite here to stage now. He's the founder and president of
Hi guys.
Of Hummingbird. Hey Will, good to see you. So I hope you enjoyed hearing from those 3 startups, and maybe it's bringing back some memories of the journey you've been on too. But yeah, we'd love to hear a little bit about your thoughts in this space, and then maybe we might even have a little conversation with the 3 previous startups too. Just as we get a little tour of the house, this is what you can enjoy as a startup founder. There you go, Will. Good to see you.
Hi guys.
Hi. Hey, Will. Yeah, so we'd love to hear a little bit of your story and your thoughts on AI and machine learning in this space.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, well we're ready for you, Will. You can start, or maybe not. Okay, I think we have a little technical issue there with Will. Okay, so maybe what we can do if we bring the previous, we are able to bring Sean and I think Ricard's just rejoining us as well, to have a little conversation about how they're seeing. And Rui, so yeah, Sean and Rui, I think Ricardo will join us. Hello, chaps.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
So yeah, you guys are using this kind of artificial intelligence and so on in quite different ways. Hey, Ricard, and Ricard as well. So you're all using it in quite different ways. what is it? Just bringing it back to the Food Accelerator Network for a moment. What's been your experience in being on the Food Accelerator Network and trying to scale your startup in this space? Who would like to start? Maybe we start with yourself, Rui.
Well, the space is a very interesting one. Well, to start with, agriculture is very different from applying machine learning in a factory where you can control everything around you, like lights and so far. So being in a field where everything around you is variable, it's very challenging. The good part of participating in this program has been that we have had the chance to speak with different people, some farmers, people from different backgrounds, and also to meet with some of our colleagues and challenge each other. And I think that challenging has been very precious in the sense that make us think on how the machine learning is being done in different sectors of the same market, and how can we improve and learn from those experiences and implement in our own fields.
And thank you, Rui. Exactly. And Sean or Ricard, your experiences so far
with the AI.
Yeah, and especially in terms of being part of the Food Accelerator Network, because I think one of the things for the audience to know is that we have startups from across the supply chain here. From fertilizers and seed all the way through to sort of distribution. So what's been your experience in actually connecting with startups on a program who maybe are not specifically in artificial intelligence like you are?
Well, we have been connecting with several startups, yes, particularly in the events that we run physically, because this facilitates a lot of things. Yeah. And yeah, we have seen the synergies between the different kind of companies. I think that there is a lot to do on that side. And also, I would say at the moment, the synergy between the specifically agri-tech robotic companies is still very low to what it could be. So always looking to improve that.
For sure. And do you, I just want to bring regulation into this for a moment for the three of you. So often we find that the innovators like you, the technology is going faster than some of our friends over in Glasgow at the moment. So how do you find dealing with the regulations in your markets in this space you're trying to play in?
Yeah, well, obviously in our case, the regulation is a positive. Like for those that aren't aware, there's regulation coming in January of 2022 that's essentially going to put more controls and limitations on antimicrobials and antiparasitic medications use in livestock. So that's sort of leading to more testing demand, and obviously we're in diagnostics. So it's a positive in our case, but my thoughts in general, Ryan, you made the point about technologies are generally ahead of legislation, and I think for that reason, we can't necessarily legislate ourselves out of these challenges to the industry and to the globe. We've got by fostering entrepreneurship, we can sort of use our energies collectively, as startups and thinkers and innovators to solve some of these major challenges.
And we've been developing a portable test.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. No, it's great to hear sometimes when these regulatory changes that are bringing pressure to the established give opportunities, of course, to some of you guys. And the same question to Rui and Ricard. What are you seeing in terms of regulations in your space? Is it hindering or helping?
It's helping, let's say, because we basically, from the two things that we cover, weeding is clearly a trend towards forbidding herbicides and pesticides in general. So there is a big push towards not using herbicides anymore. You have a push from the consumers that want organic food, okay, but also there is a push from the European Union, particularly on getting rid of all these chemicals on the field. So that's helping a lot.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's often we feel like these things are fast, but actually we've probably been looking in this space for years, right? And now we see you quickly moving, but it takes a lot of experience and time to see these trends coming and these opportunities. So, sorry, Rui, I think you were going to build on that.
Yeah, in our case, regulation is supporting us, especially in some of the additional tasks we are looking into, because it's getting tighter and a lot of the growers are trying to find better ways of dealing with some of the issues, like pesticides, for example, which in some countries now you can only apply twice a year. So you need to choose very wisely when you are going to be applying them.
Absolutely. And then, so, and bringing it now, looking at the competitive landscape, so how is it for you guys in terms of competition? So are you seeing other startups being your competition, or do you see them more as enabling what you're doing and partnering with them, or do you see already some of the bigger players in your space trying to copy what you're doing, or is it an open field? Well, how do you see it? Ricard, I think, was smiling there. How do you see it, Ricard, your competitive landscape?
Well, I think that having competitors is at the same time helpful and worrying, let's say. So you would prefer not to have competitors, but at the same time, the fact that you have competitors validates that you're working on something which is really asked for by the market. So in our case, there are a lot of different solutions for controlling weeds without chemicals. So when you cannot use chemicals, really getting control of the weeds is really a nightmare for the farmer. Then there are plenty of different robotics startups and other kind of companies trying to provide solutions here. So we are competing with many of different potential solutions. We think ours is quite better in many aspects. So I think we are fine because we have competitors and we are well placed towards those competitors, let's say.
Nice. Rui?
In our case, when we selected to start on raspberries was exactly because of competitors. We see a lot of companies targeting the tomato and the strawberry fields where the fruit is hardest or is not that easy damaged. We have selected the raspberries because is a niche. So we wanted almost a blue ocean where we are alone and where we could start and operate without any competition. And as we mature and we start harvesting commercially into the raspberries, we are already looking into the red ocean strategy. How do we get in? How do we displace our competitors on that part? But so far, because raspberries are very, very easy to damage and to bruise, we have our own mode within that industry. We have, of course, worked in different modes to address the red ocean.
Wow. Well, firstly, red ocean is a new one for me, so thank you. Appreciate that. A bit of the green and the blue. Now we have the red, like the parting of the Red Sea, and you guys are going through the middle. And yeah, really interesting that you chose probably one of the hardest fruits, or softest actually fruits, but most difficult fruit to begin with. It was I guess I must have lots of technical challenges, but indeed it meant there was less competitors in that space, as you say. Sean, just to wrap up on the competitive thing, how are you seeing it in terms of your competitive landscape?
Yeah, it's kind of across a few different fields in terms of, other startups and other companies. We don't see anyone doing exactly what we're doing at the moment, which is bringing diagnostics truly on farm and truly portable. That being said, we would be easily to think there's not, people developing similar technologies in the background. So we're obviously have that first mover that we need to take advantage of. But sort of on a longer term, maybe broader vision, what we've built really is a platform that is collecting data. Obviously, there's lots of other startups and other companies doing similar things, looking at trying to collate and optimize farm data. So, there's a lot of room for collaboration there. But we do see ourselves sort of having that differentiating factor of the animal health data that's taken directly from the animal sort of instantly and on the spot. So without that, a lot of the other sort of generic data lacks true context of what is diagnostics. So that's kind of how we're looking at it at the moment in our field.
Would you have any names, maybe?
Nice. Wow. Yeah, it's great to have these kind of conversations to go really deep into these different technologies and subjects. And talk about that, maybe just for Rui and Ricard, when we think about robotics, often what you hear, especially, I mean, I come from sort of an agricultural background myself, is jobs. Especially as I asked regulations earlier, people are worried about losing farming jobs and so on. Is this something that you have to consider? What are you seeing in that space?
Yes, if you don't mind, I can start on that. So just in the UK alone, there is a shortage of 90,000 harvesters. It's impossible for us to produce 90,000 robots in the next 2 years. So in fact, we are not stealing jobs. We are tapping into the gap and the lack of people available to fulfill those jobs. And the other thing is we are not only filling the voids, but also adding high skills to this field by bringing robotic engineers, bringing machine learning engineers, mechanical engineers, electrotechnical engineers. So all kind of engineering skills are required to tap into the gap left by, basically there are no people that want to do the job. So we can't steal what people don't want to do.
I just can say the same, so I will not repeat. So there is actually a shortage of people to do these non-technical jobs in the field. So it's really, we are solving a problem for Europe or the UK. We really need automation on the farms. Otherwise, there will be food shortages, or you have to allow massive immigration, and people doesn't want this low profile immigration that then is not stable, has to move back. And then I would mention something. You have kind of two solutions for this. One is to automate farming and improve farming, so a bit traditional improved farming, and the other is vertical farming. And I would say vertical farming is like the Bitcoin of farming. Let's say it will create a huge increase of demand of electricity. So it's a vertical farming, from my point of view, is not really a solution for the future. It will increase the consumption of energy of farming. And therefore, I think that the future for agriculture must be agriculture on the field, but with much more automation.
Thank you. So eloquently put, both of you. And maybe there's an opportunity for you, Ricard, in these vertical farms, have some sort of flying drone machines from you guys that pick them in the vertical farms. Who knows? But see a future collaboration possibly there. But I think maybe just to wrap this up, any final points you'd like to make? I mean, just hearing that thought from Ricard on vertical farms makes me think to Sean for a moment. You guys are obviously still working with you're talking about going into companion animals, but also right now it's animals that are in the food industry. So do you see threats from the alternative protein space, or you think you can all grow together?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I suppose without getting political, I think what sort of farmers looking after production animals need to start doing is looking for ways to differentiate themselves, and technology is the way to do that. Technology will help them to optimize their production so they can have the same or less animals with achieving sort of higher or the same yields. So I think that's what technology like ours can enable. So yeah, that's probably all I could say on that point without
tricky question
on it. Yeah.
well done.
No, it's a good question. I like that. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think we're gonna move on to the next section now. But I want to thank you all, Ricard, Rui, and Sean. You're doing some amazing work and a fantastic conversation as well. So thank you all.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
everyone hopefully can reach out, go and see you guys, get some networking done, and learn more about the great work you're doing.
Thanks all.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye now. Great stuff. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section, but I think we have a couple more polls, in fact, before we hit that session. We're slightly delayed, just so you know, but we can put the polls up. So one of them is actually around your motivation for joining this demo day. So it'd be great to know why you're here, what's your reason to be here, and maybe you can hopefully that will help people understand what people are looking for. And the second one is actually more related to what the next section is coming up. So the second question is actually, what are the biggest opportunities for blockchain in agri-food? So this is a very relevant question for the next two startups. So we're going to actually, so if you can actually, just to let you know, remember that the poll, to be able to complete the poll, is on your right-hand side. You'll be able to see it. There's a little section where it says polls, and then click on there and you'll be able to see the next polls coming up. And we'll be hopefully sharing those results after the first startup, let's say. So if we can get...
As you do know, I think we saw the poll results earlier. So in terms of now we've heard from sort of AI and robotics, we saw the majority are very enthusiastic about it, which I guess maybe we have an audience here that is very technologically savvy, very open to agriculture and food tech, which is great. So maybe it's not surprising that most of you are excited about it. And hopefully after what we just saw from those three startups, even more so. I believe we are still trying to get Will Wells back into this. So hopefully later we will still hear from Will. He hasn't disappeared forever. There's a few technical issues there. So yes, Laurie, back to yourself.
Brilliant. Cool. Okay, so we actually have Authena AG, who will be up next. So if we can play their video, that'd be great. And then we can have a chat with Matteo, the CEO.
Hi, I'm Matteo, I'm the CEO of Authena. Before Authena, I've been working for 20 years in operations, marketing, and innovation. In these 20 years, I suffered from three major headaches: counterfeiting of goods, product diversion, when a genuine product is sold by a seller that is not authorized, and a huge missed opportunity: the lack of data coming from end user integrated in the information and decision system of the manufacturer. I realized how the right combination of Internet of Things and blockchain could have helped me to solve these three major headaches for which I suffered 20 years of my life. This is how Authena started. We are a Swiss company incorporated in 2018, and I'm very happy and very excited to lead a team of visionary and technology guru to make the world a more connected, transparent, and authentic place by enabling instantaneous verifiable trust across the entire value chain. Our solution that is based on Internet of Things and blockchain allows to tag, track, and authenticate premium products across the entire supply chain and to create a trust bridge between a brand, a manufacturer, and an end user. We started from the wine business, that is a business that is heavily counterfeited, especially in Asia. And then we moved to different verticals that share the same need for authenticity, protection, and traceability. So we started to cooperate with Lonza in agriculture. We started to cooperate on the luxury sector, especially for high-end fragrances, in which we are now the leading technology for traceability and anti-counterfeiting. We cooperate in the industrial sector with some large international corporations as we tackle the issue of industrial spare part counterfeiting. And so one of the most exciting developments that we had in the last year, we started to cooperate with one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world to tackle the issue of product diversion in the pharma business. We are 23 people worldwide with a strong foothold here in Switzerland, but also with team in Ukraine, in Italy, in Poland, in Argentina, in Brazil, and with investors also from the UK and the United States. So we are Authena, we are making the world a more connected, transparent, and authentic place. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. So we're joined with Matteo, the CEO of Authena and founder as well.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Matteo. So great stuff. I really love your tagline. It's really nice. So what makes you different? What makes you stand out from the crowd?
Yeah. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Super. Yeah. So basically, the thing that we do different is that in a blockchain solution for supply chain, we care about the link between a physical product and the blockchain world, which is what is normally missing in this type of solution. A typical solution that use blockchain in supply chain connect the QR code, which is an identifier which is very easy to copy, with a ledger that is cryptographically secure, so which is the blockchain itself. So what we do is that we make sure that the identifier that is connected to a product has the same level of security of the cryptographical ledger on top of which the information are stored and verified.
Okay, so you're saying, so you can actually how do you use IoT in this instance?
Yeah, so we use a multiple type of hardware, so which depend on the problem that our customer want to solve. Our initial solution is Authena Shield, which is a physical digital seal that is permanently linked to a product and can protect also against fraudulent refilling. So which is basically when is a typical way to counterfeit agrochemical product, or also any product that is liquid, powder, or cream. So you buy the container, the empty container, and you refill it with the liquid or a powder that is not authentic. And what we do with our physical digital seal, we sense, so we allow a user to verify whether the product has ever been opened, because basically our seal, so when you open it, when you open the product, something will change at the physical and digital level, which is irreversible.
Okay.
And this is our basic. This is the hardware that we have implemented the most. This is based on near-field communication technology, which is basically a passive device that can last for decades and is activated by the proximity of a smartphone.
Nice.
We also have different solution, more active tracker, which will require a small battery, but still are devices that can be applied to a single product, like a vaccine, for example, a single vial of vaccine. It can follow the products all over the world, and the device itself is reusable, so is a sustainable solution. And with one single charge, you can cover the traceability of a product autonomously for 1.5 years.
Nice.
Okay,
cool.
So this is our focus. And then, of course, I mean, we store key data about the idea of the products on blockchain, but we use blockchain on a pragmatic way. Let's put it on that sense. And we go beyond the hype of blockchain, so we try to use it in a practical way to bring value to our customers.
Cool. So so today, in today's world, and how they use tracking and tracing of products, what's the current status quo and how you change that? Like, because you're saying that you can now track a vaccine from here to there, and if it's even been used, how do companies do that right now in Agri-Food, for example?
Yeah, so right now we are cooperating with several large corporations, so that we have already on board. I mean, our focus is not only on traceability. Our focus is on secure traceability. So we want to make sure that the data are secured and the source of data are as well secure. I mean, in the case of the vaccine, so now it's not completely interesting for the food sector, but just to give you an example, it's quite. I mean, so far the traceability is not done at the level of a single product. It's done at the level of cargo shipment. What we do is that we increase I would say, so so we zoom in the information at the level of a single product. So we can track all the environmental conditions that are tracked now at the level of a cargo, at the level of a single product. And that can provide a details and the granularity of data that can allow much better a decision for the company, especially if you think about a recalling of product in case on the cargo a temperature range has not been kept at the ideal condition. In that case, you need to recall all the cargo. But if our technology is installed, you can make recalling the decision at the level of a single product.
That's amazing. Gotta say so. What's stopping that? That's the one, right? Okay, can track that anywhere in the world right now. So what's stopping us from everyone doing this? Why is that? I mean, obviously the technologies, you've got the technology there. What's the kind of blockers? What's getting you there so that everyone can do this?
So this technology. So first of all, this technology is patented by us, and it was not there. So we made an extensive freedom to operate a patentability search. And so it's a matter of continuing our cooperation with key company and then scale up with them, increase the penetration with them, and go also to the company that share the same needs. So
would you see anything that would you see anything that they would go, oh, I'm not sure about that, or is there anything that would block them from using your technology, I guess is the question.
It depends. So I mentioned two types of hardware elements that we have. So one that is more passive and one that is more active. The one that is more active is particularly suited for large corporation in which they have a product with high value. And then in this large corporation, I mean, you always have to dance the corporate dance. So it takes some time to go from pilot to initial production integration to full market penetration on that specific company. And we are dancing now. So we started the dance, and let's see where that is going to bring us. For the other solution, can be applied. The passive solution, the physical digital seal, Authena shield, can be applied. Also to company with a smaller size, and then we are already working with 10 customers in multiple sectors.
Very cool, very nice. Okay, so in terms of what are you looking for? So you've obviously been on the FAN program now for the last few months. What's kind of your objective in within the next year? Kind of what are you seeking here at the moment?
Yeah. So during this year, we completed our seed round of 2.4 million US dollar from investors from UK, Switzerland, and US. We will have our next funding round starting next year. That will be our Series A. Now our main focus is execution and business development. So finding new partner to cooperate with. Large corporation in agrochemical that can be ideal. So for us, we already started to work with loans and crop protection, but we are in conversation with the major one, and also the food industry. That can be something we would like to grow and to increase and to expand with.
Okay, brilliant. So hopefully everyone heard that, and hopefully you can reach out to Matteo on Hopin. It's very easy, and thank you very much, Matteo, for your time, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great stuff. Okay, so we're going to move on now to Bulldog. We're going to show their video first, and then we'll be heading to have a nice chat with one of the co-founders of Bulldog. Let's head on to the video.
Hi, I'm Ayan, founder and CEO of Bulldog Web Services. The coffee that you drink every morning or the honey that you have for breakfast, is it ethically sourced? Opaque supply chains could potentially mean negative social and environmental impact, food fraud, zero visibility at the sub-tier level of the value chain. Agribusinesses are exposed to compliance risks, quality concerns, and all this digitized data is not verifiable or accountable. With increasing jurisdictional mandates and the pandemic has made transparency today a business imperative.
BWS enables sub-tier level visibility where centralized systems have difficulty in scaling. We are decentralizing the ecosystem from me to we and empowering the producers, ensuring fair trades and climate positive practices. Increased visibility and governance is ensuring jurisdictional compliance and trustworthy certifications for agri-businesses, especially for cross-border transactions. The system ensures digitized data to be verifiable, traceable, immutable, and shareable to stakeholders. Moreover, the accountability via verified identities of data sources increases veracity in the system.
Bulldog Web Services is a purpose-built blockchain SaaS platform that takes a three-step approach, improving efficiency, visibility, and compliance of agri-value chains. Decentralized identifiers for entities and stakeholders builds accountability, compliance audits that can be continuously monitored with proven audit trails, verifiable claims, and immutable records. And finally, track and trace that records provenance information from origin with signed proofs written to the chain. Our USP is that we have zero reliance on any third-party blockchain. We are providing an underlying layer of trust with our purpose-built agri-blockchain, which is the Bulldog network at the layer 0, which is open source and governance is built onto the chain. Bulldog network has all the complex logic and concepts built in, and hence, using our APIs, businesses have a readily usable platform. Hence, it means faster blockchain adoption and bringing Web3 applications into the mainstream.
Our founding team believed that transparency at the base of the value chain is the key to developing sustainable food systems. The team had a blend of both business consulting experience in supply chains, retail, insurance, customer experience, along with a rich experience in distributed systems and core blockchain expertise with leading firms and global corporations. We have a curated set of advisors who helped us both on product development and market entry on various value propositions around sustainability, impact focus, value chain knowledge, and market feedback. We are privileged to be part of the cohort of the EIT platform that networks us to innovative companies thriving to solve this problem in a unique way. The program is aligned towards our vision of enabling sustainable food systems where profitability and ethics can coexist.
Wow. Okay. Very slick. Hi, Ayon.
Hi. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm doing good.
Well.
Great.
I'm liking the branding there. It's smart, mate. Very good. So tell us then, so in terms of current examples of where this is being used, just to understand where in the agri supply chain we can find your Bulldog services.
Yeah, so we are focusing more on the sub-tier level of the value chain. So basically, my background is I was working in supply chain consulting, process consulting, and I saw there is visibility concerns beyond the tier 1 and the tier 2 level of these brands. And that's where the production happens. And if that is not made visible, we are already having increasing concerns of the cost of non-compliance going up for brands like coffee brands or tea or honey or all these problems that are there at the sub-tier level. And that's where we want to focus on. And the problem that we saw is all these centralized systems that are available today, whether it's ERP or GTM or these procurement systems, they are not suited to extend themselves beyond the tier 1, because you'll have huge databases and every supplier in the world or every producer in the world have to comply to their compliances. Instead, if we could build a decentralized platform at that point where BWS plays a role and create tokenized co-benefits. So if we are selling coffee, then the coffee gets packaged with all the trace reports, with the provenance maps, with the identities who are involved in the trade. So giving traceability and transparency at those sub-tier levels, which is tier 3, tier 4, and the producer level. So that's where we want to play. And for us, traceability was more than just the movement of goods, but also ensuring that there is sustainable practices at that lowest level, which includes environmental, economic, as well as social impact.
It's great to hear what you guys are doing at BWS. I mean, actually myself, I was a CEO of an agricultural blockchain company about 4 years ago now. And I understand some of the challenges you're mentioning that you're actually overcoming. Because one of the things that we saw an issue was working with the World Bank actually on mapping out supply chains in Haiti on avocados, mangoes, coconuts, pineapples, and working with the producers who were not technologically literate and very difficult to get to. There was a lot of organizations trying to block access to them. So how are you working with the producers?
Okay, so that's a great question, and this is, I mean, I can understand why he asked this. This was the first challenge we had to overcome, and we are working in two sectors. I can give two examples. One is the honey sector, and the other is coffee. And what we have tried to do is the erstwhile middlemen, or the coffee collectors or the honey collectors in these villages, they have now been turned into a more inclusive model, because disintermediation does not always help, because you're taking out jobs. So since we are focused on SDGs as well, we've made it a more inclusive model. So the intermediaries who used to be the middlemen who used to collect honey or coffee from these villages are now the first mile visibility or first mile connector. They have been included in the model where our customer starts from the FPOs or the collectives, the larger collectives or the traders, who have now employed them as kiosks in these villages. I mean, not single village, but maybe a collection of villages where they used to collect from. And they are being incentivized for good behavior. Because once they collect the coffee, they are doing the registration. So the first problem was not all these producers were tech savvy. So they are registering them on our DIDs. So we are using decentralized identifiers, where we are registering the primary producers. The primary producers are continuously audited, and these audits are done by the first mile. The erstwhile middlemen have now been turned into service providers. They are getting an assured income. They are registering them. They are doing the advisory services. They are and all this governance is on the blockchain. So they are more tech savvy, and if they do not put the correct data later on when the collection is done and the testing of the honey is done, if we see there are problems with the honey, they would not get incentivized. So there is an incentive for better data collection. And not only that, we have other means of understanding, like location information. We are capturing their location information when they are doing the registration or the audits at the lowest level. Along with that, I'll give you one example of honey. We also collect information about satellite information about what kind of fields are there. So if we know that there are mango orchards or mustard fields, we know the pollen presence should be there in the honey. So through the pollen presence, we know whether the the honey has been properly collected or not, or from that source or not. So proof of origin is captured. So there's a lot of correlation and the data being captured.
And thank you. And Deb, did you want to add to that?
No, absolutely. I think just as echo Ian's thought, and in addition to it, what we have seen is that one of the changes that we are also trying to bring in is not only about the product traceability, but also the accountability that we are bringing in via this decentralized system. So when we sort of reach out to individual farmers early on, it was not a scalable business model at all. So we wanted to reach out to FPOs, we wanted to reach out to these stakeholders, and we have this identity module that really helps you to track and trace not only the product, but the individual who is signing off on a particular step. And that gives it that sort of authenticity, and that we know that in case of product recalls, in case if something is wrong, in case if we feel that there is certain quality that is not being made, it is comparatively now easier to trace back as to where the problem might be, optimize on that step and go forward. So what we have done through with this an inclusive model is what we are seeing as a continuous improvement, not only from a product perspective, but also from a process perspective. That's where we are seeing increased efficiency, and more importantly, we are able to achieve certain objectives that we didn't have in mind when we started off.
It was very smart. I mean, certainly when I was running the agricultural blockchain I did, I think one of the issues we had was very much silo mentality. Like, we are a blockchain company. And what I'm seeing here from AWS, the web services, is that you're understanding that you need to interact with all these different actors. You need to understand Internet of Things. You have to understand drone technology, satellite technology, all these different things together is what I understand is how you're bringing the offering to the market.
Right.
And also really smart regarding the because in blockchain, what I often see with the producers is that these often middlemen or brokers or merchants are the people that resist. They don't want change, but you've very smartly incentivized them to become ambassadors. So not only are they no longer blocking you, they're actually helping encourage the producers they work with to use your services. Really nice to hear. So this is all very positive. Again, I always like to look at what's the challenge that you guys are facing at BWS right now.
One from a technology perspective, one of the things that we changed here is we've moved to a blockchain SaaS model. So we initially saw this challenge of the adoption of blockchain, and everybody used to think that there is a capex involved. So we've moved to an OpEx model, and we've brought in our own blockchain. So that's good in one scenario, but in many cases it also becomes a challenge. Like, people have they're used to Ethereum, Hyperledger, and all these blockchains. So we have come in with our own it's a purpose-built chain, and it's built ground up, and it was built ground up for a reason, because it was meant for value chains and agri value chains. So all the complex logic is written inside the chain. So that's good in a way, which helps the adoption, brings down the time to value, cost of ownership drastically from any of the blockchains of the general purpose blockchains. But at the same time, we have to build that credibility by having more customers on board to have that the adoption scale up further. So that's one area. The other area where we are working right now is we are bringing in the financial inclusion model at the lowest level, where the access to credit for like warehouse receipts or the subsidies that has to be given at the lowest level. Can financial institutions rely on the data that we are providing? So that's one of the areas where, because it's an evolving space and blockchain means people are still resistant to it to a certain extent. But with increased adoption, I feel we can overcome that. And with increased adoption of our BWS, which is open source, we've kept it open source. So we don't own the proprietary code. We've opened it up, but we've written an API layer which makes the adoption faster. So I can think of these two, Dave, if you want to add anything.
No, I think, just the only thing it probably would be, in addition to what you said, is about the human nature of not really let going of things. People want to still own a product, right? So for them, and implementing an ERP is something that they can control, right? So when we say about blockchain, it's about getting into that V mode, where a community or basically a supply chain owning that. And that is something is more of a mentality change that people are not willing to let go. They still don't know that if I lose control of it, there might be some issue. So that is another more of an awareness thing. And it's more of it's sort of moving to Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, or it's just a change that will probably take some time. But I think that is another challenge that we face, where people feel that, no, why do I need so much transparency? Why do I have to let go of so many things? That's the other problem that is there, in addition to what Ryan said.
Yeah, it's revolutionary in many ways, and that takes huge challenge, and it creates lots of resistance. So I understand that, but I love this concept of from me to we on Web 3.0. Very smart. Any final message you'd like to give to the audience here? Who would you like to talk to? What kind of people in the audience we'd love to reach out to?
Yeah, we would love to reach out to businesses who want to procure sustainable produce from various sourcing locations. We are talking to traders because they want to get access to these curated marketplaces. So what we are building is basically curated marketplaces and enabling responsible sourcing, along with products which are packaged with sustainability reports, tokenized co-benefits, climate positive practices. So we are all in for sustainability, but using transparency at the lowest layer of the value chain to enable products to be sourced more responsibly.
Right.
Really nice, really nice. And just for the audience for a moment to let them know that we've done a little bit of statistics on who is in the audience, and we know that around 20% of the audience is made up of other startups. So you guys seeing how each other are doing, looking for collaboration between startups, which we always love to see, and it's a big part of the EIT fan is seeing startups collaborate. We've got about 20% as well of the audience are actually from big food agricultural companies. Some CEOs are here. We've got COOs here, technical managers from some really large food companies, which is great to see. We've also got a lot of investors and venture people here. So great opportunity to talk about that side of things. As you were saying, there's a lot of academic people here as well. Around 13% of the people here are academic, students, researchers, professors. Another 13% who are specifically in research. And some public organizations here as well, universities and people from environmental institutions. So really nice, diverse mix. So lots of opportunities for networking there and finding the right people to talk to. And again, very representative of the EIT fan that we have. So I think we might still have Matteo here because I think it's quite nice to just have a conversation, a bit of a broader conversation about blockchain between these two startups. Hi, Matteo.
Hi, everybody.
Cool. So I've got a few sort of questions for you guys, just to put it out there. I mean, we know that blockchain tech is across many sectors right now here in Agri-Food. There's a lot of interest, but we haven't quite made it mainstream, right? As I say, myself, when I was running blockchain agriculture company 4 years ago, it was seen as a bit of the Wild West. A lot of, can I say, cowboys out there and no one really knowing who to trust or what it was really about. We made a lot of progress since then. But and we know the European Commission Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy is trying to push more transparency in supply chains and bring in sustainability to them. So having said that, we also, I mean, so there's a lot of attention, a lot of excitement, but what do you see as being the biggest opportunity right now for blockchain in the agriculture and food sector?
Okay. Okay, if I'll just take a shot over here and then others can continue. Yeah, so I think one of the things that we feel, based on our experience, what we have seen, one of the things blockchain is going to change is having more custom blockchain and sort of use case focused blockchain as opposed to the generic blockchain that we have right now. Like for us, when we sort of started off with in Hyperledger or an Ethereum, we did sort of find out that these are fantastic blockchains. These are great, but especially for supply chain, you need something where everything cannot be a smart contract. It needs to understand to make it more efficient, make it a more scalable. So what we see definitely in blockchain and what we would love to see is more purpose-built, these blockchain coming up for specific industries. That is definitely one. And the other would be definitely the interoperability between the various blockchains out there. I think that would be the next step that would be required. And I think once these two things comes up, we are going to see a lot more sort of focus, a lot more push on the blockchain aspects of things and people understanding them a lot more as opposed to what is happening right now. One thing that needs to be sort of understood is that blockchain is not going to replace the ERPs that we have today. It is just one more layer that we have that is going to add a lot more value that what about sort of a standalone centralized system is capable of. That would be my initial take on it. Would love to hear others' feedback.
Yeah, maybe I will continue. So for me, I mean, it's clear, especially in Europe, that there is a strong need for transparency and a strong need to create an end-to-end visibility system from farm to the table. Okay, so this is a clear direction. I mean, this is different from blockchain. So blockchain can be a technology that can support part of this journey, So blockchain, at the end of the day, is a ledger that is cryptographically secure. So the information there are tamper-proof, and information there are immutable. However, blockchain alone cannot ensure that the information that you put on the blockchain are information that cannot be tampered with. Okay, that the source of information cannot be corrupted. So I made the example before about the QR code. A QR code is something that can be easily copied. So, so when we talk about the whole farm to fork, farm to table initiative and transparent initiative, blockchain can support, but only if it's combined with other type of technology that can guarantee the authenticity of the source of input. And as well, I mean, all the players that are involved in the entire supply chain, they have the interest and the need to be involved and to be active actors to provide the right level of information.
Wow. Thank you, Deb and Matteo. Lots of insight there. And I think what I'm hearing as well is, yeah, maybe we're overusing the term blockchain. This is about providing proper transparency and traceability of supply chains, right? And blockchain is one part of a tech solution. Okay. One thing that we are hearing a lot now, though, and we're seeing it even with the guys over in Glasgow right now, the COP26, talking about the intense energy usage of blockchain, right? At least blockchain 1.0. So is this really sustainable? How are we gonna? I've seen we've been proof of works to proof of stakes. So how do we move? Is this really unsustainable? And if so, what can we do about it in terms of energy consumption?
I can take a stab at that. I think both and Dave just mentioned about blockchain not being the only technology which can solve all these problems. And just to add to that and what you just mentioned, see, proof of work to proof of stake, it will happen. One of the issues that we are seeing with blockchain adoption today is most of the pilots or small scale live productions that are happening, we are actually not using decentralization. So it may be a 3-node implementation, so it is not truly decentralized. Many of the blockchains today are still using centralized. I mean, it's just to use blockchain, we are using blockchain, it's just replacing it with a. I mean, you could also replace it with a database if there are only 3 nodes and it's all controlled by that organization. Moving from me to we, what we just spoke about is very important. That's a mentality change. And now coming to the consensus for proof of work to proof of stake. Most of the blockchains, I mean, if you look at purpose-built, like I was talking about, so we have moved to nominated proof of stake. Now it has a lower energy consumption. I mean, it does not take up that much energy. Another reason why purpose-built blockchains would make more sense in these kind of scenarios is because the logic should not be written above in one layer above the blockchain. In that case, what you're doing is using up more resources. If the logic is written inside the blockchain and these are pallets inside the blockchain, then you use up much lower resources. So not an identity cannot be a smart contract. An identity can be the logic of DIDs can be written inside the blockchain. So you use much lower resources. So that's I think that's my take on it. I mean, purpose-built blockchains are definitely going to use up much lesser resources. Even the general purpose blockchains are now moving towards proof of stake. So that I think technology will find its way in finding more greener solutions, and that has happened with all technologies, and blockchain will also follow the same route.
Nice. Anyone want to add to that, or we move on to another question?
No, I would say that, I mean, if you look holistically to the whole farm-to-table production of and consumption of energy and production of CO2 or carbon emission. The part of blockchain, it's very limited, and depending on which consensus you use and what specific information you're going to store and how. So that can impact maybe up to 0.0 something percent on the whole farm-to-table consumption. So, and especially now that there are multiple type of blockchain, that there are multiple type of consensus algorithm, and you can decide which information it makes sense to store on blockchain and which information it doesn't make sense. So you can store it on a different type of decentralized ledger that is not a blockchain. The impact of that on the environment is going to be completely negligible. Mm-hmm. And just to add, when we make reference to the energy consumption, usually the fault is on Bitcoin, and all the analysis done about energy consumption goes that way. For different solutions, our technology is agnostic, and when we need to save information, we choose to go to decentralized blockchain, public ones. We have one part of our solution running on Ethereum, directly on mainnet, and we try to make it safe, secure, and to make sense what we are doing. The analysis probably of the blockchain vision in the future will go more related to a tokenized economy, or maybe to, I don't know, NFTs and different creations that will make sense to have it decentralized. But when we make reference to tracking, or maybe to this kind of certification, we usually use blockchain as a database more than autonomous implementations. But it's just something to think for the future of how blockchain and the decentralized world, the Web 3.0, will impact in the future of Agri-Food.
Yeah, really fair and great points. Thank you guys for explaining that. Because it's something that a lot of us have concerns about, and whether it's legitimate or not. Changing it a little bit, so we're talking a lot about technology solution here. And of course, one of the beautiful things of a tech solution is to ideally make the world a better place for people as well. So when we talk about blockchain and the solutions that you guys are leading, do you also partner on social innovation? So one of the things I see a lot is with the non-governmental organizations, NGOs, with non-profits, so working with, for example, the Food and Agriculture Association of the UN or UNICEF or the World Bank, to help, because you have the power to change lives. So do you get involved with the social innovation aspect?
So maybe I start.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, yeah. So we are involved in several initiatives, and our goal is to make the world a more connected, transparent, and authentic place. So every actor that is playing and share the same goal is super welcome to cooperate with us. So we are involved in some of these initiatives, and the idea is really on a farm-to-table type of solution, end-to-end visibility solution, to incorporate the audit and the certification that are created by the different organization, by the different NGO, in the same platform, on a way that the final consumer could be able, with the tap of a smartphone, in a secure way, have access to all this confirmation that the product that they buy has been produced following all the most sustainable practice, that the raw materials are being certified, that is organic, and then no people have been hurt on the collection of the raw material and the manufacturing of the product itself. So yes, I mean, it's important to have a clear cooperation with all the actors that share the same goal, the same sustainable goals.
That's great to hear.
I can just
Definitely.
add a
Yes,
few
please.
points there. Yeah. So yeah, this is very much in line to what we when we started off. This was one of our agenda. I mean, how can we empower producers? And we worked with NGOs and developmental organizations. In fact, that is one of our customer segments. We're working with the UNDP in the coffee sustainability space in Africa. And if you look at the donors, the donor organizations or these developmental firms, they really want to monitor these programs, the utilization of the funds, so that the benefit goes to the real beneficiaries. And that's where I believe blockchain can play a big role, because the identities are on the chain, and the continuous audits or the continuous credentials that are built on these identifiers, and whether the beneficiaries are really going to the the benefits the distribution of the benefits is really going to the beneficiaries or not. These can be traced back, and this is one of our core modules, in fact. So this is one area at the base of the pyramid. How do we empower producers and monitor the entire program and the utilization of the funds? And since we use a purpose-built chain, we are branding every transaction. So if you look at a general purpose blockchain, every transaction is a general transaction. But if in a purpose-built blockchain, you can brand transactions that whether this transaction was done for a benefit distribution, and we can have governance built into the chain where you enforce governance that when, let's say, subsidies have to be given to a certain set of coffee farmers, only those coffee farmers registered as beneficiaries would get the benefit, because we have tokenized them, and the tokens can only be utilized for subsidies. So these are things you can do with blockchain. I mean, tokenizing the co-benefits. That's what I started on with a little while back. And even the climate impact, the climate positive practices. So let's say the amount of carbon sequestration you have done in a farm. So if your farm is tokenized and we measure the carbon sequestration, we can report that. And in a curated marketplace, whoever is the buyer, they can buy voluntary carbon certificates that are traceable. Not just claims, but proven claims with verification.
Wow. And it's exciting stuff. And I guess that what enables as well is when we talk a lot about the producers there, that are making our food who need this benefit most. This will also help bring the story to us as consumers as well, right? Or citizens making choices of what we buy will be much better informed and understanding where our food really come from. So it's really cool. I just want to give you guys a moment if you've got any final comment you want to make, and final message to the audience here before we move on.
I mean, I would like to say for anyone in the audience, I think I can speak on behalf of Authena as well as Bulldog. I mean, we are at a very, very crucial junction at this point of time with blockchain. So if you're on the fence right now and want to explore, we would love to have a coffee or a virtual coffee with any one of you, so that we can probably understand your pain points and probably explore with an open mind if blockchain can be one of the solutions of the problem. So we'll definitely is something that we would love to talk to any of the people out there, irrespective of whether you want to really use blockchain or not.
Yeah. I'll just add after this and then hand it over to Mathieu. Again, as Deb said, blockchain and traceability, the moment has come with increased awareness, with increased compliance across the world. The cost of non-compliance, we are going through a health crisis. Food security has become a huge issue. Blockchain may be the answer to more verifiable, traceable, and authentic information about the source of our food. So I leave it at that and hand it over to Mathieu for your closing thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, the technology is only part of this journey to create end-to-end the visibility from farm to table, and I mean, so we are happy to discuss with any of you guys in the audience that share the same vision to make the world a more connected, transparent, and authentic place. So this is what to wake us up in the morning and keep us awake late at night. So if you share the same vision, please reach out, and we are going to cooperate.
Fantastic. I really appreciate your insights, your time, your knowledge, and these thoughts. So thank you all, gentlemen. And yeah, we encourage the audience absolutely to click on, find these people, click on them, send them a message, go and network with them, find out more, and let's make a difference to the agriculture and food industry. Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
I think what we have now. Cheers, guys. Ciao.
Thank you.
I think what we have now is we have Will Wells. I think we're going to give this a go. Hi, Will.
Hey, Ryan.
Good to see you. Wonderful. So, yeah, I'd like to just hand over to you. So, Will, as I said before, is the founder and president now of Hummingbird. So, we'd love to hear a bit more about what you guys are doing and your take, Will, on what you heard before regarding artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and the journey you've been on. You know, you've gone from being early stage startup to now really a scale up. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. And firstly, my deepest apologies for the schoolboy technical error earlier. I was about to start by saying that I'm a seasoned AI pro and that I've been in the industry for 10 years and in ag tech for 6 years and decarbonization for 15 years. But clearly my artificial intelligence cannot yet leverage the problem solving and decision making capabilities of a human mind just yet. But nevertheless, it's nice to be back. And I wanted to talk to you fairly briefly now about how artificial intelligence has permeated the agri-food tech landscape, the different types of AI that you see. I'd also like to talk to you about some of the stuff that Hummingbird, the company that I founded, is up to. I'll touch on how we're using artificial intelligence to move the needle for our customers. And then finally, I'll touch on some of my conclusions from COP26 and how AI can help us get to net zero. Obviously, agriculture was right in the crosshairs of lots of the sort of big decisions last week. AI is a very important part of that. But just firstly, I wanted to show you a kind of market landscape. I always like the Finisterre one, even though they never put Hummingbird on it. And when I think about how AI is transforming agriculture, I think about it in multiple different ways. You've got image recognition, which is a computer vision based science that might recognize an object or a shape or a particular plant. You've got sensors and IoT that are often the vehicles of AI. So if you're performing a truly autonomous task, that might need a piece of hardware with edge computing in to process and analyze and make a decision on the data, all independently of a human being. You've got precision ag, which might be as high spec as identifying a different plant disease or the presence of a pest, soil monitoring. And in closed environment agriculture, what you and I call vertical farming or indoor ag here, it's absolutely vital that temperature, climate, lighting, heat are all autonomously controlled, not by humans, because that would defeat the whole concept of vertical farming, but by machines. And you've also got driverless vehicle technology. We've seen some awesome robotics today and predictive analytics as well. Just to show you that Hummingbird does sometimes feature on these market maps. This is another one that I liked a little bit more, although I had to buy the report to show it today. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about what the company that I founded 6 years ago does, but in summary, we are a remote sensing and AI business using imagery analytics to monitor very large pieces of land, and in this instance, to pinpoint the sustainability features of that farming. So we call this MRV, which means measurement, reporting, and verification. And the gentleman before me was talking about carbon sequestration and like, how can supply chains know what happened upstream? Well, Hummingbird uses satellites and deep learning AI models to identify when the soil has been disturbed, what crops are in what field, how big is the field. These are sort of neural network derived model outputs that from space give us a profile as to what's happened on the land in the past, how biodiverse is it, what's the soil health like, what's the natural capital looking like. All of these words that you're hearing every day now in agriculture, and quite right. At a slightly more micro level, Hummingbird's been using ultra high resolution imagery analytics for a while. And in terms of, what does that look like? Well, what we do there is we can count quite literally every single plant in the field. And hold on. And we do that because a human being could never do that. And if anything was to kind of illuminate AI, I can't think of a better illustration from a Hummingbird perspective than this. Something we built. I think we had to label 107 million lettuces, counting them automatically in the end, in order to develop this algorithm. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that each individual plant has its own ID. It has its own numerical score. And the purpose of that is because we're actually trying to count them, but we're also trying to establish how the size of them, the grade of them. Because if it's too big, Tesco won't buy it. And if it's too small, Waitrose won't buy it. And the purpose of that is once you've determined the variation, you can quite literally apply fertilizer to every single individual plant in the same way that a doctor treats a human patient individually. And it's that sort of 70 plants per second solution that embodies why AI is such a valuable component for modern day agriculture, and quite frankly, why big companies like John Deere are willing to pay huge sums of money for companies that have AI and can improve their products. None of this means anything if you can't save a farmer money or help a producer predict something more. And on Hummingbird's sort of per acre metrics, we're really saving people tangible sums, and you can't measure it, then it doesn't mean anything. I wanted to show you guys, just for literally 20 seconds, a video of Bear Flag Robotics, because we've seen some amazing robotics today, but I just want to highlight these guys because I think from an AI perspective, I really like what they've done.
Operation. Bear Flag Robotics' advanced technology is running now. You can see autonomous tractors driving through fields today. The solution leverages a combination of LiDAR, radar, and camera sensors, as well as the necessary compute resources to enable a tractor to work in a field autonomously, enabling farmers to execute their plans effectively, increase productivity, and take advantage of remote management solutions to confidently run their operation from anywhere. Now part of John Deere, Bear Flag Robotics technology complements Deere's own technology initiatives to make customers more profitable and sustainable.
I'm going to stop there. I was in Salinas 2 years ago when Bear Flag were trialing their technology, and this is a company that, you know, they raised a couple of million and super smart guys, and they built this autonomous vehicle using smart sensing, right? You heard LiDAR, that's not easy. And the point was, last year during lockdown, none of the fresh produce growers could find any labor. And some of these companies like Church Brothers and Dole and Chiquita and Taylor's, they hire, I don't know, 5,000 workers a month, 10,000 workers a month. It's big numbers, right? Now, I remember watching one of these vehicles doing automated tillage, that's turning over the soil, but it was going for 24 hours. It had no human being in. And there were quite literally farmers watching over the fence at how cool this technology was. And John Deere came along and bought them for $250 million, which is no surprise to me. So I want to end by saying that real AI in ag tech is extremely valuable. Bad AI in ag tech is just bad AI. But if you crack your use case and you get it right, the sky is the limit. And just finally, you know, you've all been reading about COP26. I was there as a UK delegate. Since moving on from Hummingbird, I'm heavily involved in the decarbonisation race and about 10 other climate tech businesses. And AI is central to that. And just to extrapolate a few things from my speech, you know, we now have the data sets, we now have the collaboration, you have the computational power, you have the infrastructure, and there's the funding. So if you're not using AI, you should be. And you know, if you're a big company listening to this, get out there and test it. It was a pleasure talking to you guys today, and sorry that I missed my actual slot, but hopefully made up for it just then.
Hey, Will, no. Part of the world we live in now, right, with the different platforms and tech and so on. And as you see, fortunately, you've got AI next to you to help you with these things. Really appreciate those insights. And I think it's awesome as well, the route you're taking now, that you've scaled the startup and you've seen and been involved in the challenges. And you now want to not just promote Hummingbird, but actually promote this as a cause. And you see the impact it can make beyond just the startup that you created. Really cool.
Completely.
So,
well, it's an exciting time.
Exactly. So thank you so much. I'll let you go and hang out with Al Gore again. I know you were enjoying some time with Al Gore in Glasgow, so you can go and say hello to Big Al. And I think we'll now come back to the startups. So we're going to see a video from FinApp and then talk to Angelo.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Luca Stevanato. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FinApp. FinApp is an innovative startup, a spin-off of the Padua University here in Italy, and the company was founded in December 2018 by me and my colleagues and friends, Angelo Micarelli, Chief Marketing Officer, Sandra Moretto, the Chief of the Staff, and Marcello Lunardo, our Product Manager. We produce new generation of cosmic ray neutron sensing probes that allowed us measuring the water content, water in the ground, that is the soil moisture, water out of the ground like the biomass, or water in the snow, then a snow water equivalent. We measure the water content on a large scale, hectares, in deep 50 centimeters in the soil and meters in the snow, in real time, using one single instrument installed above the ground through a contactless technology. But what makes FinApp unique? The union of an innovative but already scientifically validated technology, the CRNS1, with a revolutionary hardware covered by several patents which make possible the real technology transfer from the world of research to that of industry. But how it works? It works that cosmic rays strike the Earth atmosphere, forming a cascade of various particles, including fast neutrons. These fast neutrons pass through the atmosphere and finally hits the ground, which responds by sending us slow neutrons. They are the messengers who tells us how much water there is around the probe. The CRNS probe are able to count slow neutrons and therefore precisely estimate the water content in the ground. This technology has been known for more than 20 years and has been validated by the scientific community with many publications, many papers in the last 10 years. FINAP has revolutionized neutron counting hardware, being the first and only company in the world capable of providing real-time data measuring both fast and slow neutrons with the same instrument. Have a light and compact probe that can be installed anywhere. And off-the-grid ready because the power consumption of the probe is very low. An eco-friendly probe because we do not use byproducts of the nuclear industry, and our probe is very easy to produce on a large scale, and we have a very competitive price.
Wow, very cool, very nice video. How you doing, Angelo?
Ciao, Lori. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. So tell me, how did this company, and how did you get involved in this company? How did it first start?
Yeah, it's a sad story that turns back to, I hope, to a nice story. But basically, Luca, the CEO that you see on the video, was studying at university a way to detect some nuclear particles or radioactive particles by far distance to be more safe, in airports or whatever. And at some stage, his professor died. And so the project stopped and they didn't know how to proceed. But by chance, a friend of him told him, look, the same capability to find at distance some particles can be used also in agriculture to see the water content. And so from nuclear physics to agriculture was a big step. And I was involved not at the really beginning, but after a while, because all the other co-founder of FINAP have university background. They are not more specifically on the business. I'm an entrepreneur here in Italy, and so I am a good friend of Luca, and so he asked me to join FINAP, and I was really pleased to join them, and so here we are today.
Very cool. So you're talking about nuclear then. Is there's no danger in
No, because the cosmic radiation is there, is something that is absolutely 100% natural. It is there since we are born, and he will forever, and so we just measure something that is already there. There is no nuclear source. We don't have a human source of radioactive stuff. It's something that comes from cosmos, is there, is 100% natural. We just use something that the nature give us to supply more information to other people.
Fair enough. That's cool. That's very nice. Cool. So in terms of where you are now, what's your next steps? What's kind of the objectives over the coming year? You just did 3 months in FAN, or 5 months in FAN. What's the kind of goals for the next few months and year?
So we are at the stage that we have we can say that our probe is now at TRL 9, or let's say 8.5 to be not too much optimistic, because we have fully validated it from 2 points of view. The first one, that we really measure the neutrons as the previous generation of cosmic ray neutron sensing probe, even if we are much smaller, lighter, compact, and also cheaper to produce. So we really count, we do the same job, but with a really innovative hardware. We have also a fully validation about the soil moisture value that we can supply. So we are absolutely ready from this point of view. The next challenge is to still improving the hardware, because we are never happy. And we can add new feature. Basically, we want to improve the algorithm that can remove the noise from the signal, from the neutron counting, using artificial intelligence instead of fixed algorithm. And then the main challenge now is how to really let the agriculture, the farmers understand the revolution of this data, because everybody knows about soil moisture data. Nobody knows about the cosmic ray neutron sensing technology and why we are way better than the other, because there is a different technology behind. So you have a data that is valid for several hectares and in depth with just one instrument. This is something that have to be understood by the possible customers. So we are focused also in partnership with other companies that are already involved in agriculture, and to make this process more easy and quick to understand from the customer. This is the main challenge at this time.
What are the reactions of farmers to your technology? Is there a bit of confusion, or how do they react to kind of this about neurons? Is kind of
actually we are, I hope, clever enough to understand which one could be the right customer for us. This is something that at this stage is not for everybody. And so we go straight to the customer that already have felt the pain of having not good soil moisture data. And so since they already have this pain, they are sort of praying for a solution, and this solution was not possible with the current technology. And I don't want to talk bad about the other, but with satellite, you cannot penetrate the soil. You can have a perfect picture of what is on the surface, so you can you can really understand very well if your crop is healthy or not. But if you don't know what is inside the soil, you cannot penetrate, because the microwaves have not enough power to penetrate the soil. This is a technology stop that you cannot do anything about it. You can put whatever artificial intelligence that you want, but there is a clear step that you cannot go beyond. From the other side, the punctual probes are really, really good. You can have also really in-deep soil moisture data, but they are not able to give you an idea of what is going on your field, because the value is a representative just of that specific point. 2 meters away, 10 meters away, you don't know what is going on. And that's why we think that few customers already understood this, and this is why they are really happy to know about FinUp. So we start from there, so we are in our comfort zone, and then step by step, we will move forward to other farmers.
Where are you currently, kind of, what's your target markets at the moment in terms of countries?
Sorry?
And where are your target markets?
Yeah, well, clearly we started here in Italy for logistic point of view, but thanks to EIT Fund, we have a connection also with a big company that is based in Germany, but as they work worldwide. So we are running a test in Chile exactly for measuring the water content, since this big company has already a system to manage the irrigation based on soil moisture data. They already know the limitation of the existing system, and so they are really happy to have a proof of concept of our probe. But anyway, we have so in Chile, in Italy, and other also in Austria and in Portugal at this stage.
Wow, quite different locations, quite different challenges, I assume, from that.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so any last messages or anything, like in terms of, there's an audience here, anything like to, any call to action or anything?
Yeah, well, I want to say really quickly that we can measure water. So clearly, if you know the water content in the soil, you can something that you can apply in agriculture, but the same hardware can be applied in several different markets. So we measure the water into the snow for hydroelectric power production. We can find also water losses along aqueducts, since at some point the water loss will increase the soil humidity. And so the different markets that we can serve are huge. The good thing is the hardware is still the same, because water is always water. And this is all the algorithms and how you make the interpretation of the data and how you post-process them and how you supply to the customer is really different from each different market. But the hardware itself is still the same. So I think that there are just few companies that can make innovation on the hardware and not on the software. Plus, our hardware can serve can serve very different markets. So I think that we are quite cool for this. Not me, Luca, that invented the technology. I'm just a friend of Luca. I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky.
Fantastic. Sounds like a game-changing technology. And let's see how you go. So good luck with that. And thanks for your time.
Thanks for you.
Nice evening. Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
So we're going to be moving on quickly. Sorry for there's a bit of delay now. We're going to try and catch up. So next we have a video from MycroNourish. So Peter will be with us for a quick Q&A. So let's put that video on and have a chat after.
I'm Peter Orrell, founder of MycroNourish, and we add value for growers. In high-value crops such as strawberry and tomato, it's vital for growers to maximise quality. When produce doesn't meet the highest grade, growers are forced to sell it for a loss. This is a significant problem, affecting 10% of fruit production and resulting in $3.4 billion in lost revenue in strawberry alone. Our mission is to make sustainable improvements in agriculture by taking the interactions that occur between plants and microbes in nature and customising them for use in agriculture. We do this with beneficial fungi known as mycorrhizal fungi. But because of our innovative approach to using this organism, we can target a wide range of improvements beyond uptake by tapping into the more complex parts of their biology. Existing products are one-size-fits-all solutions, which unpredictably help or harm crops. The reason why this occurs is because it matters which fungi you have. Not all are created equal, and some species and strains can enhance crop yield, whereas others behave parasitically, so it's vital to pair the right fungi for each crop. And that's where we come in. We solve this problem with our exciting innovation, which allows us to create new, customised strains to suit individual crops and tailor them to solve specific problems in their production. This process has created a library of new high-performance strains, each of which influences crops in different ways. So you can think of us almost like a dating service, matching up the best microbes to enhance each crop. And our technology allows us to be the first to take a personalised medicine approach to mycorrhizal fungi, delivering targeted, reliable, precision solutions which no one else is doing. And as a case example, the strain that we've developed for strawberry allows the plant to produce more Class 1 produce than the total crop yield for plants that don't have our fungi, meaning improved profits for the growers and less wastage. Our technology is highly adaptable and our strains can solve a versatile set of issues. And to recap, the key thing that makes us unique and drives our impact is that we're the personalised medicine of the mycorrhizal world. We provide precision, targeted, customised solutions, allowing us to translate the variable results of mycorrhizal fungi into consistent reliability. As a company, we're very open to collaboration, and by working together, we can do something that neither of us could do alone, driving meaningful improvements by adding value for growers, whilst helping to tackle the important issues of soil health and sustainability. So now, instead of being forced to sell 1 in 10 of their products for a loss, growers can use our customised fungi to sustainably increase yields, reduce wastage and improve their margins.
Brilliant. So we have Peter here from MycroNourish.
Hi,
how are you doing, Peter?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Long time no see. So tell me about the story about how you came across this new technology. What's the background behind it?
Yeah, certainly. So it all started when I was working as an academic, and we were looking at these really interesting questions about how microbes influence plants, and then how those changes go on to influence other organisms that interact with the plants. And specifically, I was looking at pollinators. We saw some really interesting results and some really interesting changes in the yield. So it was a holistic project, and we went out and spoke to the growers, and we were saying, have you ever heard of mycorrhizal fungi? Are you familiar with it? Really surprised by their response. They were telling us, well, yes, I bought 4 or 5 different products off the internet. I've tried them. I can certainly see the promise, but they are just so unreliable that I can't really apply it to my whole farm. So they work on maybe one variety, but not the next, or on this particular polytunnel, but not the next one along. And we had the same conversation a second, third, fourth, fifth time. So we started to realize that there was demand in the marketplace, and we had the scientific foundation to take the same organism and do something different with it. So secured some funding that allowed us to develop the technology to use this organism in a new way. And that's really how MycroNourish got born. So we developed that technology, completed the R&D for our first 2 crops of strawberry and tomato, and currently have the products out in the real world.
Very cool. So you kind of started the use in a way. So that's really nice. Nice to hear that.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about how you customize all the time. So how does that? So you want to scale? Is that an issue for you in terms of like if you want to then take it to many growers? How would you? And you have to customize it for each. Is that pose a problem, or how do you overcome that?
Yeah, so this all comes down to how we've actually built the technology. Because of the way that we can influence the genetics of the strains, we can build in a trait called phenotypic plasticity. And what this does is it allows one particular strain, for example, the strain that we've developed for strawberry, it allows that same strain to adapt its morphology to different growing environments. So we can use that same strain in soil, in substrate, in hydroponics, aeroponics, multiple different growth conditions. So basically we're customizing for a crop and the problem in that crop. But once we've done that, that same strain can be used across a broad range of different growth environments.
Okay, so that's pretty good. That helps a lot. So in terms of right now then, what's your kind of challenges? What things what help do you need any help? What are you working on right now?
Well, one of the biggest problems that we've got at the moment is too much demand. So demand is outstripping supply, which is a sort of a nice problem to have. So the current main project that we have at the moment is scaling up mass production. And as we progress through that in the coming months, we will alleviate that problem, have lots of products available for many different growers. So now is a really good time for us to form linkages with other organizations. And in terms of the state of play with the R&D development, we're in an ideal sweet spot for customizing products for additional crops that may be suitable for any potential partners.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of organizations are you looking to, or your ideal organizations that you want to partner with?
Sure, yeah. So we're interested in speaking to absolutely everyone who's in the industry and all the stakeholders. An ideal organization for us would be a large company who has a customer base of growers, international growers around the world. Initially, we're focusing on these high value crops of strawberry and tomato. So we have those ready to go now, but we'll be very quickly following with a much broader crop portfolio. So products available for many more different types of crops.
Nice. What made you begin with strawberry and tomato?
They are really important economic crops, even though the production isn't as high in terms of wheat, barley, maize, etc. In these crops, if you make a 1% improvement in production because they're really high value, that's actually a huge difference for the growers, and it's a really meaningful improvement. So it's a really great place for us to get started. It's an ideal place for us to prove the technology, prove the business model before we start to expand into those large scale arable crops.
That's the big goal in the end. Nice.
Yes, that's where we're going to get to.
Cool. So, and where's your kind of target? Like, which countries where have you started? Where are you aiming to go?
We've initially started our focus in the UK and EU, but very quickly in the coming years, we're planning to expand to North America, followed by the rest of the world.
Cool. Excellent. Any last messages? Any message for the crowd, for the audience? Anything in demand? Any call for action?
Yeah, sure. So I suppose as a company, we're very open to collaboration, and we have a philosophy of focusing on our core expertise, so developing these new strains, and then partnering with others where they can add value. And by working together, we can really do something that neither of us could do alone, and really just helping to add value for growers and sustainably improving crop yields.
Brilliant. Great stuff, Peter. Thank you for your time and great video, and good luck for everything. So,
thank you very much. Welcome anyone who would like to know more to get in touch. Thanks.
Nice evening. Great stuff. Okay, so we're on to our final startup, unfortunately. So we have Multus, and hopefully people have been waiting for this video too, because people are quite excited about cell-based tech. So yeah, we'll hand it over to Multus and their video.
We recognise that industrial meat production is a broken industry, but the global demand for meat is only going to grow. Cultivated meat is the food of the future and promises to give us the same meat we know today without the need to slaughter billions of animals every year and using just a fraction of the resources. Changing how meat is produced could truly be one of the most powerful ways to mitigate the ongoing climate crisis. But if this technology is just so great, then why can't we buy it today? One of the key challenges preventing cultivated meat products from entering the market is the expensive nutrients required to grow cells. Multus creates the key ingredients for cultivated meat companies to scale production and bring their products to market affordably and profitably. I'm Kai Linton. I have a background in bioengineering, and 3 years ago I met my co-founders at Imperial College London and made it our mission to make cultivated meat the affordable and sustainable choice for everybody. Feeding muscle and fat cells with a suitable growth medium makes up over 80% of production costs. Current solutions were just never designed for the food industry. For example, animal-derived blood serum is often used in biomedical research to grow cells, but this goes totally against the ethical and sustainability aspirations of the cultivated meat industry. We've made a completely serum-free growth medium that can grow muscle, fat, and connective tissue with the same formulation. Our technology has two specific areas of focus. First of all, to create the most optimum recipe or formulation, we've developed a statistical and data-led approach to find the best combination and ratio of ingredients to grow a variety of cells from different species in an efficient way. Our second focus is on the ingredients themselves. We want to make our growth medium the most sustainable and cost-effective in the world. To do this, we're selecting non-traditional and even designing new ingredients that can provide the right growth environment for cells without compromising on price or the planet. With a focus on growth media development, we're unlocking affordable and profitable scale-up for leading cultivated meat companies and lowering entry barriers for new innovators to drive this industry forward. In other words, we take care of the growth media so cultivated meat companies can focus on bringing tasty and sustainable meat to as many people as possible. We're now in the process of testing and validating our first products with closer partners and have engaged with corporate food ingredient companies through the EIT Food Accelerator Network to see how existing food ingredients or byproducts can be used to replace individual micronutrient inputs in our growth medium. So if you want to help us revolutionize meat production and feed the future of food, either through working with us directly, partnership or investment, please do get in touch and we'd love to hear from you.
Wow, okay. Great to see. Hi, Kai.
Hi, great to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. So, sounds like you're playing in that space, which has been quite tricky for a lot of the cell-based meat companies, right? Because what I've been hearing always is, okay, yeah, it's great they're making cell-based meat, but the serum is still bovine. So is what you're doing really going to enable us to fully claim that cell-based meat is animal-free in terms of cruelty?
Exactly. That's really our goal, is to remove animals completely from the production system that is used to make meat. And that means removing animal components from the growth media as well. Right now, we have completely removed FBS, which is the gold standard serum that's traditionally used to grow cells. And we, as I said in the video, we've developed this formulation that taps into not only the performance of FBS, but also has versatility across many different types of cells and species as well. So we're really pleased with the progress so far, and what we want to be working towards is a growth medium that uses components that are cost effective, yes, but also scalable and designed for the food industry. And for us, that means making a growth medium that is also very sustainable and can ideally use a lot of the byproducts that exist already at scale from other production processes in food.
Wow, yeah, that's what we need. So Can you tell us more about the formulation, or is this your secret sauce?
This is kind of the secret sauce. I mean, there are two areas that we touch on. So our big focus is on the ingredients. Yes, we got to start with this set of ingredients that can really grow any type of cell that's thrown at us. But then also we have to think about how we combine those ingredients together to make that recipe to grow all these types of cells. So yeah, the formulation I can't really talk about, but right now it is absolutely FBS free. And we're kind of in a process now of testing that with our partners across the cultivated meat industry, and we'll be shortly making that more broadly available to the industry as we go to market.
Okay, great. So we talk about going to the market. When can I expect to go into a Burger King or a McDonald's or a proper steakhouse or something like that and eat something that's got your growth serum in that started it all?
For sure. I mean, so the industry really is still in its infancy, and the leading companies are just about entering pilot stage today. So I think it'll still be a couple of years yet before cultivated meat is competing at the price level of something like a Burger King burger. But I'm genuinely sure that we'll get there. Our target is to reduce our cost to less than €1 per liter by 2026. And that really makes a huge step forward to enabling cultivated meat to be price competitive and reach price parity with conventional meat in the supermarket.
Cool. And I think we actually, just to bring the audience in a little bit, I think we have a poll for them just to see how they feel about cell-based meat as well. So I think there's a poll on the right side of your screens just for the audience if they want to get involved in giving their feedback here too. So obviously there's a lot of regulations, especially here in Europe. So how are you impacted by regulations? Again, are they hindering you? Are they helping you? What are you seeing?
Yeah, regulation is one of those things right now where there isn't a whole lot of clarity, because only in Singapore is cultivated meat approved by the regulatory bodies, and everywhere else, including Europe and the UK and the US, they're still kind of defining what that process looks like. Fortunately for us, the specific regulation on growth media is actually fairly minimal. If you think of a more traditional process as more akin to a soil that's used to grow a vegetable. So there's very little specific regulation that will be on us to stop us selling. But as a company that wants to help and push this industry forward and really be the dominant growth media supplier across this space, we want to be making that regulatory process as easy as it is possible for our customers. So that means building out capacity and producing our growth media under specific food production standards, but then also taking quite a strong look at the ingredients that we use to make sure that they're suitable for the food industry and safe to eat as well.
So just wonderful, really clear. So on that about scaling production, I guess that's something you're just looking into. But I hear there's been challenges in that space, not with the growth serum, but with some of the cell-based meat. So what are you seeing in tackling that? Is this something you're confident you're going to be able to scale?
There are still quite a few different approaches being tried across the industry. You're right that a lot of these technical challenges are not solved today. So there are a lot of potential solutions and a lot of things that maybe are being tried that won't work. But we're seeing a combination of kind of scale up and scale out more broadly across the industry. So there's going to be a limit to how large a bioreactor or a tank you might use to grow cells. And so we've got to think about production systems that can be used in parallel and scaled out as well. I mean, one of the big things in this industry is that there really is potential to not require any antibiotics in the production process. And for that, if you have 100,000 liter plus bioreactor making cells and there is a risk of contamination, then that's a whole lot of product that you might be losing. So building these systems that can be provide the right environment for these very sensitive cells, but also can be shut off if anything goes wrong, is really, really important. And I think a lot of companies are moving towards a process that takes those into consideration.
Absolutely. I mean, clearly this is what I believe is a big part of the future. So there will be, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So on the opportunity side, so where do you see, where's your next target market? Where do you think you're going to see the biggest opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we're really wanting our big mission is that cultivated meat is affordable and available and accessible to as many people as possible. So that means making sure this industry as a whole moves forward. Yes, in Europe, but also in other regions as well. So I think there's a big opportunity for us as we do our kind of research and development with the longer term future in mind, is to work on developing specific ingredients that can really give us a step up in price reduction, but also having systems that are more regionally focused and almost supply chain independent in the sense that they use ingredients from the surrounding countries and regions and different food systems, and then kind of further process them to be useful in growth media for the cultivated meat space. So for us, that's a big opportunity that we're doing work on right now, but something that will really we'll see the benefits of that in 5 years down the line or so as this industry scales and matures.
For sure. Just seeing some of the results from the poll, I think it's from the technologies we've seen so far today, this one's the most, from the audience, most mixed in terms of some people completely see this as being the future and others still a bit unsure. So for you, what would be your message to the audience and specifically for your startup? What kind of organizations or people are you looking to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, we see this as a huge opportunity. Yes, it's very difficult, and there are a lot of challenges in getting to mass market, but that's what's exciting, right? That's why startups are working on it, and it's not a solved issue. So for us, we want people that are bringing in together different expertise from the food industry, from the pharma industry, kind of from synthetic biology, bringing out these latest advances in kind of data analysis as well, and kind of applying all of them together to this solution. I think there can be a way to work with kind of old school farming as well, more sustainable farming, together with cultivated meat. It's not a one wins all, but really the goal is to move away from highly damaging industrial meat production. And I think if we work together, and actually there is maybe a lot of news about cultivated meat right now, but on a grand scheme, there's not a whole lot of money in this space. Yes, there are companies raising quite large rounds, but compare that to the pharmaceutical industry, or even going back to the first mission to the moon. I mean, there were billions of pounds spent on that mission, and in comparison, just over about 1 billion today that's been invested in cultivated meat. So I think if you're really keen to make this the food of the future and can put your expertise into it or your resources into it, or even look at how you can pivot your own business to support this industry, then it's only really through working together that we'll make a solution that works for everybody.
Thank you, Kai. So this is the next moonshot.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, Kai, thank you so much. You've heard from Kai. If this is something you want to get involved in, you want to invest in, partner on, learn more about, Kai is here, as are all the other startups we've heard from today. As I said, on Hopin, you can either jump down to the left on networking already, or you can go and click on the right side, people, find the person you want to speak to and reach out to them. So thank you, Kai. Good to see you, and great work.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. So I think we're going to, our last talk now, we're going to hear from Ahmed Khan from Cell Agri. He's also an entrepreneur, and he's also acts as a just scout. He also created an organization called Cell Agri, which he is both the founder and editor of. They research the insights around cell-based technology. So he's going to give us a little talk about the trends in this space and what he sees as the future of cell-based tech. And as I said, the audience are welcome to go and start networking now. This video will be on the main stage. So yeah, let's hear from Ahmed.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Ryan and Lori, for having me here and for inviting me to take part of the EIT Food Demo Day. It's so great to be here virtually and see all the incredible startups sharing how they're looking to transform our future food system. My name is Ahmed Khan, and I'm the founder and editor of Cell Agri, a news and market insights platform focusing on the future of food with cell agriculture. To give a brief overview, Cell Agri tracks and promotes all the different companies and players in the field, and we share all our insights with our subscribers through our regular newsletter. One of our goals is to become a homepage for the cell agriculture field where people can come to learn anything and everything they want to about cell agriculture, from what it is to who's involved, and the latest market insights and opportunities in the field. Before we see an exciting new startup emerge from the cell-based meat ecosystem, I wanted to share a brief overview about cell agriculture as well as the trends we'll see moving forward in the cell-based meat ecosystem. There are plenty of opportunities moving forward in this new field. So let's take a look at that sector and different ways everyone can get involved in it. I don't want to take too long, but for those who are new to the field, I want to touch on the benefits of cell agriculture and how we can build a new food system around that to be better for everyone. Cell agriculture is the field of producing animal products like meat, dairy, or leather directly from cell cultures instead of raising animals to produce the same products. Compared to conventional animal agriculture, cell agriculture provides a more sustainable and environmentally friendly way to produce the exact same products to meet the growing demand for animal products like meat around the world. Typically, we break down the benefits of cell agriculture into three main categories: environmental benefits, the public health implications, improved animal welfare, and in light of the devastating impact of COVID-19 around the world, I also want to highlight the food security aspects of cell agriculture as well. COVID-19 has really highlighted the need for resilience on our food supply chains to ensure people do not lack access or availability to their food needs. And cell agriculture can help address that by being a way to produce food locally, anywhere and everywhere on the planet and even in outer space. Food security has not really been a conversation topic in Canada or the US or even parts of Europe prior to the pandemic. But food security is the major reason why there is an explosion of interest for cell agriculture across Asia, in particular in Singapore, Japan, and the Middle East. Without requiring as many resources like land or water, countries that rely heavily on food imports could now, in theory, produce enough food for the populations locally. When I began tracking the cell agriculture field a few years ago, you could literally count the number of companies on your fingers. There was a handful of companies that seemed mostly based around the San Francisco Bay Area in California. But today, the field has exploded globally and there are players all over the world working on the future of food with this technology. I personally find it's incredible. We see scientists and entrepreneurs from across the world looking to build the future food with their own twist and new angle to it as well now. From Upside Foods' cell-based meatballs to Other Farms' ribeye steak to Shiok meat in Singapore's crustacean meats, companies all around the world are doing fantastic work and developing fascinating product prototypes. Now, as the field continues to grow and companies aim to come to market with these products, it is important that appropriate regulatory frameworks and pathways are put into place to make sure that public safety is established and that there's a framework for companies to follow to bring their products to market. And this will be no different for Europe as well. While it's great to see this trend of companies advancing the product development and prototypes to come to market, it's important to recognize that all these breakthroughs is mostly possible due to the growing number of investments in the field, which, if trends predict correctly, will only continue to rise in the coming years. To highlight that, I want to show CellAgri's data on the field's investment landscape. As you can see from this graph, there has been a steady increase in the total number of investments and deals across the cell-based meat ecosystem. With nearly a total of $1 billion invested in cell-based meat companies across the last 5 years, more than $500 million has been invested in the first 8 months of 2021 alone. And actually now, as of September 2021, this is one of the first times I'm sharing this, the cell-based meat field has hit a major milestone of $1 billion in investments. This is an incredible landmark for the field. With over $1 billion in investments, this milestone highlights cell-based meat's potential to make our food system more sustainable. And while this is an incredible landmark, the global increase in funding is not necessarily reflected yet in the European investment landscape for this field. With approximately $188 million invested in cell-based meat startups over the last 4 years, just under 20% of all cell-based meat investments, approximately 85% of those European investments have taken place in the last 2 years. So while the total investment numbers lag behind both Asian and North American investments, it highlights how the cell agriculture field, including cell-based meat, is still in its early stages in Europe and has a tremendous opportunity for growth. In order for the European cell ag ecosystem to keep up with the rest of the world, It's important that early stage companies across the supply chain and the field continue to be supported. And we're starting to see that with more supply chain players go through programs like EIT Foods. Considering how the cell-based meat ecosystem is mapped out in Europe, in particular in the UK, it is possible we see more opportunities for European players to explore the cell-based meat supply chain and the opportunities over there. So the global growth of the field, what are the opportunities to further grow the cell agriculture ecosystem in Europe and make it one of the leaders in the field? European scientists and founders have played a big role in helping to get the cell agriculture field to where it is today. There's more to be done to make Europe a leader and a key hub for our future food system. Considering the state of the cell-based meat industry and ecosystem, and the type of cell-based meat startups that have gone through the EIT Food program, I wanted to highlight and briefly give an overview of the key pain points that the cell-based meat supply chain will need to address. In terms of trends moving forward, we'll likely see more startups or even corporate players emerge to try to address these key pain points for the cell agriculture field. For cell-cultured meat to scale, it is important that companies find and develop a stable and immortal stem cell line to develop. These cells will then be a constant and ideally indefinite source of stem cells, so animals will no longer be required in the production process. Only a handful of companies around the world are working on specializing on this due to its complexity, with only one commercial player so far to date in the UK. Once this is addressed, the next steps to scale production can be addressed. And considering the next startup in the lineup is looking to address cell culture media, I'll skip over this because they'll do a much better job at highlighting the challenges and the big opportunity to develop a cell culture media formulation for the field, one of the largest pricing pain points in the ecosystem so far. Before touching on bioreactor technology, all the cells will likely be in some form of scaffolding to give them the support they need to become meat products. Considering the various optimization angles, some companies are actually looking at exploring edible scaffolds like plant-based components, while others are exploring using 3D bioprinting as their scaffolding. This is a technical challenge that will need to be addressed for the field to start producing more complex and larger meat products. For example, a marbled steak that has fat laced through it, along with the muscle side of it as well. Ultimately, one of the biggest pain points for the field moving forward now is going to be bioreactor technology as well. A bioreactor is the chamber that houses the cell culture media, the scaffolding to help promote the growth and differentiation of the different cells to become cell-based meat. Essentially, the bioreactor is where all these different components come together to make the finished product. And currently, there are no large-scale bioreactors that would accommodate commercial scaling for cell-cultured meat. While there are startups and companies looking to address this, without viable bioreactors, this technical challenge may be a key limiting factor in how quickly this field can scale and become cost competitive. Overall, though, these pain points are all puzzle pieces that will ultimately come together to make cell culture meat a viable and scalable part of our future food system. If we put all of this together, in the future, we'll be able to use a stable and immortal cell line from our animal of interest. These cells would then grow in an inexpensive and animal-free cell culture media formulation. And as these stem cells self-replicate and differentiate through support of scaffolding as well, in these large bioreactors, a mature and finished cell-based meat product will be produced without requiring animals to produce the future of meat. From Multus media to previous EIT cell agriculture startups like Cellular Revolution, there are many startups now looking to address these pain points across Europe. By addressing these challenges through their products, these new startups and companies are looking to develop a whole ecosystem and value chain around the future of food with cell agriculture and cell-cultured meats. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen and hear about the trends and overview of the cell-based meat and wider cell agriculture field moving forward. As you can see, the field's landscape is going to continue to grow for the field, and there's an opportunity now to address some of these key challenges that the field will need to face moving forward. In the last few years, we have seen many more startups looking to address these challenges and come to market with their products to become ultimately part of the supply chain as well. And at the same time, while we highlight this, it's important to reflect how none of this would have been possible without European players originally. After all, it was in 2013 when Dutch scientist Dr. Mark Post showcased the first ever cell-cultured meat burger in London. In a room full of journalists and the media, the world saw for the first time a cell-cultured meat burger being showcased and tasted. And since then, the field has exploded globally. If it wasn't for that first taste test on a global platform that is London, would the field have grown as much as it has in the last 5 years? It's hard to say, but presenting in London, a leading global and European hub, definitely did play its role. I want to thank you all for taking time to listen again to this brief overview. If you're interested in learning more about the global investment landscape and the different opportunities in this field, please feel free to get in touch and visit the CellAgri website. We have a range of different resources and reports available on that platform. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck to all the presenting startups. Take care.
Thank you, Ahmed, for that. Very, very insightful and very interesting landscape there. A lot of potential, but a lot of hurdles I see. So let's see. I think there's some optimism for the cell-based agriculture. So let's see, and hopefully Kai can be a part of that transformation where we can take it to another level, for sure. So we've come to an end. We're actually at the 6 o'clock time. So big thank you for everyone that has been on the event today. Really interesting discussions, I've got to say. I was fascinated by a lot of the talks. And yeah, really appreciate everyone's insights. Before we leave, there's actually a poll ongoing right now. So we have a poll up there, and we want to know what your opinion is from all the tech you've seen today, what you think will have the biggest impact in agri-food. So if you need to leave, then please just answer that poll, and then you can skedaddle. But in the meantime, you can stay on Hopin till 6:30. We have the platform available till then, so you're allowed to continue to network, which we encourage it, to continue networking, connect with startups, and yeah, learn more and connect more and try to collaborate. Please.
Yeah, I think we saw an amazing array of technology here today from the EIT fan cohort, from many different areas. So the startups are still here. We really encourage you to network, as we've said several times. You have the opportunity to do that. All their details, if you go into the reception of Hopin as well, you'll see, if you can't talk now, you see all of their LinkedIn details, all of their websites, so you can follow up with them. I think we should also say that this is the second demo day. There are another 2 demo days coming. There's one in Paris, a physical one in Paris, to launch a new fan hub on the 18th of November. And on the week after that, so that's next week, and then in 2 weeks' time from today, on the 25th of November, we have our final fan demo day, where we'll see some more really impactful startups. And the focus there will be on how these fan startups are really making an impact in the market and changing the agri-food industry to be healthier for planet and people whilst making a profit. So we look forward to seeing you there. But for now, let's connect, let's network, and enjoy.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.